and kind of with Xenoblade are kind of like, I just don't really like JRPGs that much anymore.
I mean, yeah, I fell off Final Fantasy VII, the original. I was replaying that, and then I played the prologue of Trails and fell off that, and then I played like half of Xenoblade. That one got the closest.
Mm-hmm.
And then I fell off that for like 5 years. And then Neptunia was the one that started to pull me back in of all things.
And then Neptunia pulled you back in.
Neptunia,
just when you thought you were out.
Neptunia was just like a big movement in the community.
Good.
God.
They got like so many people got on that train.
Yeah,
it was really, really rad seeing that happen. And like I remember MegaNep being an event.
God, yeah.
And Rhett was like the only one that got to play it because he had a PS4.
Yeah, I bought the I got the PS4 version like before it was even on Steam for like $7.50. I was like, okay.
Might as well.
There's a price. I'll buy that.
Yeah, I'd buy that for $1.
That's exactly where my brain went.
And then they said, anyways, we're not making JRPGs anymore. We're just all shitty, awful feeling action spins now.
Yeah. They did Sega Hard Girls, and then
I did play that one, and it was rough.
It was.
I mean, that was the. Oh right, and then there's the 2D.
Yeah.
Brave Neptune.
Super
Neptunia RPG.
Yeah, Neptunia RPG.
Yeah.
It was very funny seeing a new game and then hearing about it and being like, oh, a bunch of friends are playing that. Look it up. Their one previous game was
that
Paper
game?
Mario Neptunia.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
What was it? Super Neptunia RPG.
Astraea Ascending.
Well, at least they didn't go out of business. I guess.
I mean, it seemed like people had a pretty good time with that one. So
yeah, that's the thing. It's like the people I know that like that game, like they like Astraea Ascending. So good on them.
Super Neptunia RPG overall reviews very positive. Astraea Ascending mixed. Oh, that's a little bleak.
Wait, huh?
Yeah,
that's got to sting a little bit.
I don't think I've ever had quite such a strong. Oh, got a bad feeling about this one as like the first 10 minutes of Neptunia RPG.
Yeah, I bailed on streaming it. Like I was going to stream like the first 3 or 4 hours of it just to have fun. And like I was in like 15, 20 minutes. Like I don't like anything about how this game feels at all.
I still finished it. I don't think it's that bad, but it starts worse than it actually ends up, which is weird.
That's good because that game starting out just feels like utter trash to play.
I mean, it never really stops feeling like that mobile trash. It's really like the combat gets a little better and the story carries it, but like the actual, like the way the music was just, because the Neptunia series has very upbeat, J-pop music, like synthy stuff, and this one just starting with like, oh, you go out to the canyon and it's like a piano solo and it's just very melancholy. I'm just like, the mood is all wrong here, guys.
Yeah, it does not work for what this series is mostly known for.
I think when you went up to NPCs, they would just say ... because they didn't have dialogue.
Yeah, there were a number of those.
Just
man,
incredibly rough around every edge.
Yeah, and they delayed that game for like 6 months. To polish it.
Video games are a lot.
Oofa doofa.
Yeah.
Video games, huh?
Video games, huh?
You know what happens sometimes with video games and the internet?
People make podcasts about them.
They do sometimes, and you wouldn't guess, you'll never believe what I'm about to tell you is that we are actually going to do one of those. We're going to do ourselves a podcast. We are going to do the 156th episode of a podcast.
Holy shit.
This is just for the people
coming from inside the house.
This is just for the people at home that they're getting the cold open. They're opening on episode 156. And after the first 10 minutes, they're going to go through time and they're going to snap back to episode 1. And
it's like
going to take
5.
them 8 years to get back here to find out, well, what did happen on episode 156 of the Sockscast? All those dick jokes. They got
like lost like tears in the rain.
No, man, like to the people that are in another dimension, like getting ready to shift backwards here in a few minutes. They're going to start from episode 1. And they've got all those fart jokes to look forward to, all those dick jokes, so many things. Big penis energy, Rhett. Come on. Big iron sword, big Ron sword.
Damn it.
Think of it, man.
First off, okay, wait, so people from the other dimension are listening, right?
They're still
Do you
here,
know
I
how to
think.
solve a Sudoku? We can help you solve the Sudoku. We're going to beam our Sudoku solving energy to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
And that'll save you.
Gonna take 8 years to get there, though.
Oh, this is
John,
it's a really hard Sudoku. I'm not actually very good
John,
at
I
them.
think you were just trying to squeeze a turd out.
No, that was me trying to solve a Sudoku across dimensions, but it was like one of those where like you fill in all the numbers and you're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do here. I don't know. There's like some weird logic leap that you're just not seeing.
I don't
It's just
understand.
Like, sorry.
I don't understand Pete Ross at all. I think it's stupid. I think
it'd be better to send one of those across time.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not the one that chose what puzzle is attached to the dimension bomb that's going to kill us all across several dimensions.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone's going to have to solve it. It's not going to be us. We are too stupid.
Yeah.
Don't shoot the messenger in this case.
Is it like a cool sandwich Sudoku? I like those. There's all these cool variants now.
Man, I would like a cool sandwich Sudoku if I got a sandwich after solving it. Like you could probably
would that be enough to get you to solve a Sudoku?
You could probably convince me if you've got like a really good gourmet honeyed ham.
Oh.
If you got something like that on the other side of a Sudoku, you could look. You got me to do Sudoku when you had really cute girls in ties. You got me to do 10 Sudoku puzzles, a grand total of 10, and Helltaker. When you promised me girls in really nice business attire.
Mm-hmm. Wait, I think that's a different Japanese word, or you're making a joke. I don't know.
No, I'm not making a joke. I don't know the first thing about jokes.
True.
You've done a podcast with me for 8 years, and you think I know what a joke is?
My least favorite Sudoku is when you push the block and you're just like, I don't know what this word means. Like you have it's like a really random definition.
Like Bob Is You.
Yeah, like Bob Is You.
It's a real great bit.
I know, right?
I thought you were saying like the people from 8 years ago aren't going to hear this bit because it's not going to be in the final recording.
They've got to shift.
They already died from the dimension bomb.
They've got to shift outside. They've got to shift outside the lateral timeline in order to get this part of the podcast. This is the part of the flow chart that you tap on. You have to actually just tap on because the square isn't there. It's just you have to get lucky and find it. That's how you find this part of the podcast. Welcome to Sockscast episode 156, everybody. We are
There's zero escape from our great bits once you start listening.
Yep. Yeah. We are the miracle of modern jelly, and I don't know what that even means. But we hope you're doing well. We're going to talk to you about the things that we do for probably the next 2.5 to 3 hours, and we're going to hope that you enjoy partaking. Oh, the people that are 8 years from now they just shifted back, so they're not getting the rest of this. The cold open is done for them, and they are now arriving at second one of episode 1.
They're about to learn a lot about Contra.
They are. We did talk a lot about Contra in those early days.
I mean, Contra rules.
The one true video game franchise.
It is the one true video game franchise. Yes.
With only 2 games in it, weirdly enough.
Yeah, I know. Like, they're solid.
Yeah.
They're real good. It's a real good 2 games.
Yep.
To my immediate virtual right, he doesn't want to turn into a glass skeleton and have lizard thoughts. It's Rhett.
Hello.
Hey. You know how to talk about stuff you've been doing, right? You know how to do that by now. You got a handle on all that.
My head's kind of empty. Actually, head kind of empty this week.
Yeah, I can feel that. Yeah. Like one of those, I think like this is the episode where me and Brett are both like, got something I've been doing. It's on the, it's not the podcast that I kind of wish I was doing right now. Not in a bad way. Not that we don't.
All-consuming media grind.
Yeah, it's the all-consuming media grind. The things that I'm doing right now that are very exciting and I want to get back to, but now I have to delay for a day because I got to come here and do 3 hours.
Nah.
Nah, that's how you feel. It's okay. It's okay to feel that way, right? There's no problem. It's not. It's okay.
I want to be here with y'all.
Yeah, like I'm choosing. I could have been anyone from anywhere, but I chose to be me from right here.
Oh,
so there you go.
Even more than quality gaming is the gaming of friendship.
Exactly. Friendship is just a game. Remember that, people. Like when you remember, like friendship is a game.
And I'm winning.
That you are always competing to be someone's best friend. You always be looking at those weekly rankings. Do everything you can to get your points up. You know how it is. Get your points up. I don't know what I'm talking about. To my immediate virtual left, he broke his little bones on the boulders below. So sorry. It's John Thayer.
Hi.
Hey.
I'm doing okay. I 127 hours my way out.
That's good. Now. That's good. That's not that's a lot of hours.
I know. It's not a great situation.
No.
Have you seen the movie?
I've seen the movie.
Okay. I haven't, but I'm pretty sure it's not a great situation for him.
I've not seen the movie. I don't know why I said that I have.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I feel like of all the movies, that's probably one where you can get the gist of it from
just the back of the box.
About it.
Just like get the back of the box, have a look. Yeah, I know how that's going to go. I got a pretty good feeling about that.
I don't think there's going to be some hot twists in this one. Not going to be like a alternate reality turn a little bit through.
Very Passion of the Christy, I think, where you kind of I get it.
What you said on the tin.
Exactly. You just get you know. But you're doing well, John, from the sounds of it.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot better. Summer's treating me nicely.
Summer's here. Nice walks. Like, the weather is finally broken. We're not having those mornings where I go out and it's 30 degrees and I hate myself. I realized, though, that we only have, like, 2 seasons now. We literally only have winter and summer.
It's not just up here.
Yeah. Winter and humid.
Yeah, those other 2 seasons that used to exist, they went somewhere. Let's ask Al Gore, since he invented global warming. Maybe he can tell us where those other ones went. He fucking stole them. He stole them. He stole them. John Thayer, what the hell have you been doing? Get me out of this. Get me out of these awful jokes that I keep trying to make, and I don't know why. Get me out of this hell.
So last off, I've been on like a weird old Western PC game binge since pretty much mid-March after I finished Xenoblade. I think I finished Xenoblade and Final Fantasy IX like back to back, and it was just like I kind of want I think I was animated out. I think I was thoroughly animated out, and I wanted the opposite of that.
Yeah, like considering that much anime game intake, it's very understandable.
Mm-hmm. From my point of view, not anime enough.
Not enough.
And I was Rhett?
Xenoblade a little bit. Final Fantasy IX, not at all.
Nah.
That's 5% anime.
It's barely
5% anime, 95% crappy story.
Very, very does not go anime enough.
The story being basically Dragon Ball Z gives it maybe 10% overall.
You are much, much kinder than I am.
So that just kept going and going and going, and then it morphed into. So I went from fantasy to Quest for Glory. So you want to be a hero. So this is the 92 remake of an 89 adventure game by Sierra. I have never played a Sierra adventure game. I have barely played any adventure games at all. This was a natural segue because Quest for Glory is their adventure game that is also an RPG. You get to pick a class at the start. You can pick between a fighter, a thief, or a mage, and all the puzzles have different solutions depending on what your class is. Your stats actually matter. You can level up. You collect money. You get equipment. There's boss fights. But also it's a point-and-click adventure game. It's a very early genre hybrid.
It's two great tastes to go well together, right?
Honestly, fuck yeah. Honestly, I really like this.
I know you bitched a lot about it.
I bitched a lot about this.
John's Twitter feed versus reactions afterwards always amuse me because it's like during the play, God fucking damn it, I've been stuck for 3 hours, fuck this shit. And then afterwards, I had such a delightful time with this.
Is this really all that different from the polycycle?
It's more extreme.
Yeah, I think John's might be more extreme.
I don't think that's necessarily more extreme. I think it is. I'm recognizing. You see, I was frustrated because I wanted to get to a point where I could see the version of me that was having a good time, and I wanted to get to become that person, and I was frustrated with myself. It wasn't frustration with the game. It was frustration that I couldn't get there because I knew if I couldn't get there, then I was just closing myself off to all of these other games because my frustrations weren't with Quest for Glory in particular. It was with adventure game shit in general because adventure games are fucking hard.
They can be. Like, they're based on logic that, you gotta, like, if you play an adventure game that is largely crafted by one person, I think you come away from that game knowing a bit about that person and how their brain works. And you learn very quickly that not everybody's brain works on the same kind of logical through lines as everybody else, or that you might be running on.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it is probably the hardest kind of video game resistance for me to deal with is kind of adventure game logic. And more than that, adventure game logic where you're in a big world and it's not really clear immediately what you need to be doing to be progressing. Because then the possibility space just gets so big. And trying to keep it all in your head it's terrifying because I'm just walking around just like, I'm missing something. I'm fucking missing something, you dumb piece of shit. Why are you missing something? I don't understand. And so for Quest for Glory, I spent like an hour and a half like mapping out the entire game world in an Excel spreadsheet. Taking meticulous notes on everything, solving a couple puzzles, feeling pretty good about myself. And then I got stuck.
Oh, no.
And I got stuck. And then I got stuck for like 2 days of like extended sittings.
Shit.
So, like 3 hours, like 2 hours of like concerted walking around. Like, what do I fucking do? The fuck am I supposed to do? I don't understand. I'm dying. And then something clicked, and then that leads to a bunch of other things clicking, and a bunch of other things clicking, and then it's, oh my god, this is I'm a super genius. This is the best. I'm in heaven. I'm stuck again.
Oh yeah, that's kind of like a common.
And then 2 more days.
I feel that's like the most common way people go. Like, you're getting a very authentic experience with these kind of games because of that.
I think the deal is, for me, like if I spend 2 hours grinding against an action game boss, that's really hard. I don't see that. My brain doesn't parse that as like wasted time. It's just like, because I have that sense of continuous progression. When I'm stuck for 2 hours in an adventure game, my brain is just like, the hours in your life are ticking away. I'm stupid. I'm missing something. It's not that I'm not making progress. I'm stuck. When really the process of being stuck and running around, experimenting, taking more notes, getting more information, that is the process. That is how you arrive at this next next solution. My brain is just like, if I don't get it immediately, then I'm stuck because I'm stupid and I missed something, instead of, the point is to be stuck for a while. The point is to, and then you have that big euphoria moment and it feels really good. I think combined with shit in the world, I got like low at a certain point when I was really stuck.
No.
And the next day I was like, okay, this probably isn't good. And then I looked at some hints, and the one thing that was keeping me stuck was so fucking obvious. If I just looked at the one thing, it was like, I got a key and I needed to use a key in the room that was next to the key. And it said I walked out and I used the key on every single door in the entire world. Just like, is this it? No. Is this it? No. And then I complained about it on Twitter, and someone said, oh, don't worry, that is the right door. You just need to up your strength stat. And they were fucking wrong. They were lying. They were completely full of shit.
What?
And that just got me that much. They weren't lying. They just got it mixed up because they probably played the game 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that just set me even more lost. And then I finally looked at the hint and it was just like, you piece of shit. I hate you, but also myself. So it was an emotional arc with this game. Because because I was just like very authentically frustrated, which doesn't usually happen with me playing games very often. Certainly not with like action games. And I had a moment where I was just like, is this how friends feel when they're complaining about Dark Souls or whatnot? And I'm just kind of off to the side. Get good. Is this how? So that's what that feels like.
Be smart.
Just be smart.
Just be smart. Just get it. So I got so fucking mad after I beat it. The ending was great, by the way. It's a really cute story. It's just like there was a number of nice little turns. The RPG stuff made it harder because it just adds to the cognitive load. Because near the beginning of the game, I threw a rock at a nest because I wanted to knock the ring that was out of the nest, and the rock missed. And I was like, well, guess that's not the solution. But you have a stat in your stat screen that is throw. And at the start of the game, it was very low. And as I progressed, I raised the throw stat a bunch. And then I threw a rock at the nest again, or I threw a dagger at the nest. And then it fell out. And I was like, oh, my throw stat wasn't high enough.
Of course.
That makes sense.
How could you have been such a fool?
There's things about this one in particular, like having stats, having different classes that I haven't heard of any adventure game doing besides. That seems
this was not a good beginner's adventure.
No, this is not what I would have directed you to if you would have asked me about adventure games.
Sorry, Polly. Well, you see, the CRPG Addict blog said that this had the critical flaw of Quest for Glory is that it has baby easy puzzles that are way too easy. And I read Scorpia's review from 1989. It's like, well, the puzzles are a little juvenile. It's a good beginner's game. And I was like, oh, well, this will be a good one for me to jump in with. It was not a good beginner's adventure game.
No.
And you know how I know that? Because I immediately downloaded a fucking beginner's adventure game. I played Loom by LucasArts.
Yeah.
And it's so nice. See,
that's the one I would have probably given you to go with at first.
Yeah, there's no dead ends. There's no dying. You have like 6 verbs you learn throughout the game.
Yeah.
And it's linear. All the puzzles are solved like within the area you're in. Mm-hmm. So it's like you're in this one area. It has 5 screens. Solve the puzzles within this screens. Okay, now you progress to the next one. Instead of Quest for Glory, where it's like, here are the 5 things you want to accomplish in this game, and you're going to go 10 hours before you even scrape at solving any of them, and then you're going to solve all of them at once. Which is a lot more scary. Yeah. Loom is just like constant regular reinforcement.
Yeah.
It's also extremely pretty. I played the original EGA version because I looked at screenshots and it was prettier. It came with a 30-minute audio drama. It's like extremely committed to its fiction in a way that's really adorable. I think it feels a little truncated at the end. It feels like they didn't quite get to tell the whole story that they wanted to. That's probably my main criticism of it. I still think Quest for Glory is sort of a fuller story all in all. But Loom was very nice for my ego coming right off of Quest for Glory. One thing annoying is that there's like one genuinely really hard puzzle at the start that's very lateral thinking. Mm-hmm. And that's the one puzzle I got spoiled when I was reading through it. And I was like, I bet I could have, but I don't know. Am I actually good at adventure games? I don't know. And then I went and played Pajama Sam, No Need to Hide When It's Dark Outside, which is literally a game for 8-year-olds.
Baby's first ARPG. Baby's first adventure game.
John with the slider, difficulty slider. Turn it down. Turn it down. Turn it down. Okay, it's at the bottom. Okay, here we are.
Like a Price is Right contestant.
In 90 minutes, in one sitting.
Yeah.
Easy game for babies.
Yes.
Adventure games are easy.
Literally.
And I had it as a kid. I had it as an 8-year-old, and it was too hard for me. So coming back to it was like redemption for past John.
Literally going back and throwing past John. Games. Literally going back and throwing past John in a garbage can. Be like, what's wrong with you, you little idiot? God, you're totally worthless. Why are you even growing up?
No, you just put the wood in the water so the boat knows that wood floats, so it feels okay getting in the water.
Duh!
It's easy.
Duh!
You've got to send those solutions back through time now.
There you go. Just ship those on back.
Pajama Sam actually has randomly generated solutions depending on your playthrough. They shift around all the puzzles.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. Yeah,
it's very cool. They can do it because it's easy enough and the logic is simple enough, but it's still very cute. Mm-hmm. Also, all of the environments you click around, and almost any place you can click on the screen will have like a cute animation.
Yeah,
it's very endearing.
A lot of things to keep you occupied.
So, and it had a cute, nice story. So I got to the end of it. I was kind of scared of it as a kid. It was kind of a freaky game. Because it starts with the kid is afraid of the dark and he's afraid of the darkness in his closet. So he opens his closet at night to prove that he's not afraid, and then falls into a portal into an alternate world where people trees steal his flashlight, and he's lost and alone. And I was just like, oh God.
You got to play the second game, even scarier, because he's got to go to school and not get beat up because his name's fucking Pajama Sam.
It's pretty good.
Oh, I thought the sequel was called Deltarune.
I played like half of Beneath a Steel Sky, and I solved a bunch of puzzles, and I felt very big brained, and I got to a point where I was like, okay, I think I'm adventure gamed out for a while.
Yeah, that's a genre that, unless like the fiction and like the writing is like really super there, it's really easy for me to burn out on. Like, I can only play like one, and if it's not like, and if the writing isn't super good in an adventure game, I can't. I likely won't finish it. Like, it's a genre where those games have to catch me like real good with a strong start, be real like have real good writing, or be real funny, or have a real good hook up front, or I'm probably gonna burn out.
I think that's fair. Go ahead, Rhett.
The only ones I've ever really gotten into were the Telltale ones, which are like extremely low on the difficulty scale.
They're literally just movies for the most part.
I mean, they used to be at least attempting to be adventure games, like Back to the Future.
Back to the Future has a lot of great stuff in it.
Yeah. Walking Dead Season 1, and then I played Walking Dead Season 2, and that point it was just like, no, it's just a movie now.
Yeah.
You make choices, that's it. There's no puzzles, like literally.
That's funny. Yeah, I played Walking Dead Season 1 ages ago. The only other real adventure game I played, classic point-and-click adventure game, was Myst. I played Myst 1 as a kid.
I played Myst on the Saturn.
Oh, wow.
Well, you know what's nice about Myst? You can't die. You can't get stuck. There's no inventory. The only verb is click on shit.
Click on shit.
It's so nice. It's so chill.
Imagine like being the guy that thought of, my game is just click on shit and then making billions of dollars.
Yep.
Here's some pretty photographs. Click on them. There you go. That's my game.
It's real nice. It's real gentle.
Wasn't that like 91 or something? It looked pretty good for the time, I think.
I remember my neighbor in like 93 getting a CD-ROM in his computer, throwing in Myst and shitting my pants. So,
it's so pretty.
I mean, from the era when Donkey Kong Country was like, whoa, CG graphics on a Super Nintendo. Like, I get why Myst was impressive, and I also remember there being a bunch of articles like, Myst isn't a real video game.
It isn't a real video. Yeah. Even back then, a lot of gatekeeping, a lot of weirdo gatekeeping.
Oh, women like this one.
Yeah, women like this one, so it's not a game.
God, that's funny. One more thing, Myst is divided nicely into a bunch of sub-contained levels.
Yeah.
So any puzzle is only going to be relevant within a limited subset of the game world.
Yeah, that's really smart design.
Which is not true of Riven, and Riven is terrifying to me. Yeah, Every time I've tried it, I'm like, nope, sorry.
Yeah, Riven is bad.
Too hard.
I don't like Riven.
I played Myst on Saturn, and then I did get Riven for PC and was just like, what even? You walk around the whole thing and go, where do I even begin to tug on this string?
It's too much. I don't like it at all.
I believe that there's a good journey to have there, but it's definitely something where you like run around taking notes for 20 hours before anything starts to click.
Yeah. I
instead
can't.
of that. I'm not there.
No.
Maybe someday, but I'm not there.
Yeah.
That's good to know you had that arc with it too. Mm-hmm. Just like, this is scary. Y'all both had that arc.
Yeah. I remember trying to play Riven back in the day and just being like, I don't want, my brain just shut down.
Mm-hmm. That's me. Every time it's like 2 hours walking around, make just zero headway. Just like, I don't even know where to begin. I can't. I'm sorry.
I think like the last like modern maybe adventure games that I enjoyed, I like Dropsy. Because it just used a visual language. It had no like actual words or anything in it. It just used like little iconography that you had to kind of put together to solve puzzles. And I remember liking the Edna and Harvey games, but I don't know if they'd hold up now.
Right shortly after you played Dropsy, I played it. And then I had to quit because it was too hard for me.
Oh, weird.
That was the last time I think I tried an adventure game before this one. And I also played the first Homestuck game, and I had to use a guide. It was too hard for me. This was like my first actual foray since Myst like 12 years ago. So it felt really good. I think starting with the Sierra one was like. That's the weight, the super gravity planet from DBZ, because I went to the LucasArts game and was like, oh, this is so nice. Oh,
what a cute little thing for babies.
Oh, thank you. So my next one I probably want to do is Monkey Island. I think I'm ready
Monkey
for that.
Island, Day of the Tentacle, Maniac Mansion. I think those games will treat you real well.
Yeah, I think I'm...
Like that LucasArts run in the 90s is just like Grim Fandango.
Grim Fandango, I've got that on my phone.
There you go. Yeah, that you're going like if you just want to play some like solid shit with like a lot of really great, funny writing and really clever puzzles, those games are it.
It was extremely funny reading. So the creator of Maniac Mansion and Monkey Island wrote a big piece on his blog. And he finally posted in like 2004, but he wrote it in like 89.
89,
and it was why adventure games suck. And he talks basically just shit talking Sierra games.
Yeah, basically
for like 10 paragraphs.
All games that have like these hard ass fail states where you can fuck up like in the early, like you didn't grab this thing on the first screen of the game, you can't beat the game now.
Yep. And then in the Loom manual, there's like 5 paragraphs that are just shit talking Sierra games.
Nice.
It sparks a little bit of a contrarian impulse in me because I'm just like, well, I liked Quest for Glory. I mean, in Quest for Glory, all the dead ends are very telegraphed, and you know to reload.
Right.
Like, why are you being such a baby? I don't understand. So there's a couple Sierra games I'm really interested in. The Gabriel Knight one looks really cool, but the LucasArts one seemed like more for, again, helping my ego. Get feeling more comfortable with this language.
The LucasArts stuff appeals way more to me because I feel like a lot of the Sierra stuff is just rooted in I'm fucking medieval Dungeons and Dragons Sir Dunkeldorf of Definery. Like, God, get this crap out of here. Casey has an obvious, I'm just not a fan of like hard fantasy settings.
Yeah. Which I am which I'm enjoying a lot. We can talk about more about that later, I think. But King's Quest, I started King's Quest 4, The Perils of Rosella, which is the one they made where it's like, what if the princess went on an adventure? And it was honestly a really cute intro. It was like a 6-minute intro. It was really interesting for like an 80s game.
Nice.
So yeah, that was my adventure game journey. I have one other video game I think I can chew through quickly and then pass it on.
Okay.
But I played Gunvolt 2.
Mm-hmm.
I fully S-ranked Gunvolt 2. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like this one as much.
Yeah, this seemed to kind of not be landing as much with you as the first one did.
Yeah, I got shit talked. I got told to get good a couple times by Gunvolt fans on Twitter about it because I kept complaining.
Are there few enough Gunvolt fans that they name search it?
Oh yeah, Gunvolt got it.
Oh yes.
Is anybody talking about Gunvolt today? Oh yes, there we go.
Oh yes,
he doesn't like it. Fuck you.
And they're really looking for the person like John who's saying maybe this isn't 100% ironclad, fantastically developed, so that they get to go get good, nerd.
Which again,
like John, I'm
getting a lot of taste of my own medicine this week. It feels like.
I mean, yeah, you kind of deserve it.
A little bit. It's humbling. It's like okay, fair enough. Okay, fair enough. This was really instructive for me. I've been thinking. I watched your stream about the that really jank Addams Family platformer.
Yeah.
And just kind of thinking a lot about like hard in a bad way. What does that mean? Like, what does it mean to be hard in a way that is not adding to the action game experience?
Like, no telegraphs. Everything is adversarial. There's no actual pacing to the level. Things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that. And that's helped me a lot kind of think about. I'm realizing that in a lot of ways, like the hard games I really like are actually like very forgiving and gentle in smart ways that you don't really notice. Like I got really into Mushihime-sama, which is my first cave shmup, and I cleared it. And most of that is very telegraphed, and you can learn, and you get all those bombs, and they do a whole lot to make that game very streamlined and approachable for people that don't necessarily know bullet hells. It's still very fast and intense, but there's a lot of pacing and kindness there. The first 2 stages are really easy.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of pacing and kindness there and how it ramps up. And I think Gunvolt is very good at, and Gunvolt 1, basically all the bosses are built in such a way that you can clear them without taking a hit at the end of a 5-minute stage.
Yeah.
Pretty reasonably. Like that's still very hard. But it's very doable.
They have good patterns. The attacks are well telegraphed in that game. Like that game is really just well designed top to bottom.
Yeah. There's like one boss attack that is where it has like this insanely tight reaction window, and I'm just like, oh. And there's one that's like has a bullet hell section that people really love to complain about. I got pretty good at it. I liked it, but only because it was like the only boss like that.
Yeah.
Gunvolt 2. So the good thing of Gunvolt 2 is that you play as Copen, who's like the rival from the first game. And he feels fucking great to play as, which rules because he's the person you play as in Luminous Avenger X.
Yeah.
So that's
you
exciting.
Compared it to me when you talked to me about it. You presented Copen as a treasure character, where very similar to maybe Rocket Knight, where you just kind of get that feeling of bounding around and it feeling really good.
Yeah, and with Gunvolt, you tag enemies with your gun and then you electrocute them to get combos.
Yeah.
With Copen, you air dash really fast, like Rocket Knight fast, rebounding off of walls to tag enemies. Then you kill them. And then if you tag another enemy by tackling into them before touching the ground, you keep your combo going. So the goal is to dash through the stages without touching the ground, tagging enemies and killing them.
Yeah.
And it feels fucking great. If you have a limited number of air dashes, but if you hit an enemy with the air dash, then you don't spend an air dash. And if you bounce off a wall, then you don't spend an air dash. You only spend an air dash if you just go straight into the air and don't hit anything. So if you can kind of choreograph your way through these levels, just dashing into enemies, you go so fast, bouncing around on walls, figuring out how to avoid the different obstacles, figuring out how to, don't be careful there's spikes. And it feels fucking great. It's really fun. That's for the stages. For the bosses, it doesn't make a huge difference, I think. And the boss fights are really where I kind of struggled with this one, because they're all just a pain in the ass. I played it for like 10 hours without feeling like I gotten any of them. Like you can mush your way through just killing them. Eat pretty easily. Like pretty much every boss you can just get through, tank a couple attacks. You got your pervasion. It's pretty easy. And if you do well in the comboing in the stage, you can do that and then still get the S rank. So I just kind of like, okay, every single boss, the attacks just come out so fast. They're not telegraphed at all. They have really tight reaction windows. They have really tight movement windows. You have to it's know where to stand for this attack. Know where to be on the screen before this attack comes out. And that's like, And it's not one boss, it's like every boss. That was the ethos that they took going into the boss design in this game, which is just really different from Gunvolt 1, which had a lot of breather bosses, which had a lot of easy bosses. The intense ones felt really intense. And even then, they like didn't usually get like that strict with like, you have to know where to be on the screen for this. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with memorize them ups. Basically, I like art type. I like parts of Contra, I think, do that.
Yep, absolutely. And that's the entirety of Hardcore and Shattered Soldier, really.
Yeah, exactly. But it's there's an ebb and flow to it in those games, and there's an ebb and flow to it in R-Type.
Yeah.
And there's an ebb and flow to it in Gunvolt when the bosses do. There's an ebb and flow to it in Mega Man Zero, which is really good about this. And I don't know, it just kind of wound up feeling like a ROM hack almost.
Oof.
Like Lost Level, like Gunvolt Lost Levels. Like we're going to assume that you have fucking mastered Gunvolt 1. Here are a bunch of bosses that are not necessarily going to be fun for casual play, but maybe if you can really sink your teeth into them and really figure them out. And I think the most telling thing about the change in Gunvolt 2's approach here is the S rank and S plus ranks are much, much more lenient. Gunvolt 1 is insanely strict with S plus ranks. I beat an entire stage of Gunvolt 1 without taking any damage, without using any checkpoints, keeping my combo going the whole stage, used the special weapon on the boss, had the equipment that raised my score, and still got an S rank. I was like, okay. I'm not good enough for this. I'll come back after I play X. Gunvolt 2, you can get them much, much easier. The S ranks are almost like annoyingly easy because you get them like on your first attempt. If you played Gunvolt 1 and got pretty close to it.
Right.
And I think the really telling thing is that they changed the score system, where in Gunvolt 1, in the original version, the only option was what's now called the Fearless Kudos mode, where if you take a hit, your combo ends. You lose all your points. Ooh. And you have to cash in your points you can cash in your points by using a special attack or hitting the checkpoint. The best way to get points is to do the whole stage without taking any hits and then cash them in at the very end.
Yeah.
That's Gunvolt 1. That was the score system it was built around, and the levels and bosses match that because you can beat them consistently. Gunvolt 2 changes that, where the default score system, you don't lose your kudos. You don't lose all your kudos when there's the gutless version where you don't lose all your kudos at all. You lose your kudos at all when you take hits. There's cautious, where you have to take 3 hits to lose all your combos. And then there's fearless, which is just like Gunvolt 1. And you can still get S plus ranks playing on gutless.
Oh, wow.
So they changed the score system to be like, yeah, we know you can't really just hit these stages. Yeah, we know. Sorry.
It feels like a bad concession to make.
Yeah. It feels like they realized, like, this isn't reasonable. We can't ask people to hit these stages. So
we made a Euro game. Oh
no. Yeah, it feels like they kind of Euroed it up. Feels like the kind of Euro schmupped up Gunvolt a bit. Yeah. And I didn't fully. I believe you can consistently learn all these boss patterns. I believe it. It just isn't. You just don't get that immediate reinforcement. You go through it, and it just, like you said, it feels kind of adversarial.
Yeah.
And I immediately went back to Gunvolt 1 and learned a couple stages really closely, and was like, wow, this is so much more fun.
Aww.
So I'm very excited for X. I think that one's gonna treat me better, based on some things I've heard from friends. And you get to play as Copen the whole time. I'm really excited about that. There's one thing at the very end of Gunvolt 2. Yep. Rhett, do you think I should just spoil it? It's very good.
I mean, the game is like, what, 3 or 4 years old at this point?
Yeah, it's older than that.
It's a really funny continuation of something that they kind of do in the first game.
Yeah.
So you know how when you hit a certain combo threshold, your friend starts playing, your idol friend starts singing a song?
Yeah.
For the final boss fight, you're separated from your idol friend. But right before the fight starts, she says, the song is still in your heart.
In your heart! Yeah!
And then the boss has a paralyzing attack near the very end in the last phase. And Gunvolt remembers those words, the song is in your heart. And then the game prompts you to start singing into the 3DS microphone along with karaoke lyrics at the bottom of the screen.
God, yes!
And that's what frees you to let you start fighting the boss again. It's very good.
That's top-notch use of the hardware right there.
So good. They do it in a smart way on the PC version too. They detect if there's a microphone, and then if there isn't, then it uses the attack from Copen's version of the fight,
which
is just a normal cool attack.
That's very cool. Rest's just like, why isn't there a Symphogear game like this? I want a Symphogear game, but you have to sing in order to fight. And I want Rhett to stream. And I want Rhett to stream the whole thing. That's what I want.
John sent me a video of this moment in Gunvolt 2, and the song was in Japanese, and I'm just like, oh hell no.
Yep, it's Romaji lyrics at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, that's good.
Right, I think that kills it a little bit. A little difficult for English speakers to pull that off.
I mean, if it's going syllable by syllable, it's probably not that bad.
Well, also you can just blow into the mic.
Yeah, like it's not really.
Mic. It doesn't really. Yeah.
No, it doesn't pick up the lyrics. You can just you can just literally, and it'll pick it up.
Oh, that sounded weird.
It probably did.
That's funny.
Discord was like, I ain't having none of that.
Yeah. Discord actually kills that shit when you do it. But the folks at home probably got a nice earful.
Good.
All right.
So Gunvolt's tone is just so fucking funny because it's so fucking chuny and really weirdly harem-y. It reminds me of Sword Art Online.
It is all constantly anime right now.
It feels it feels trashy compared to Mega Man Zero. I'm here for it. It's dumb. It's dopey.
Yeah.
The writing of these games is dopey. I'm enjoying it, but it's very funny. So yeah, I'm enjoying the Gunvolt adventure. I'm still very excited for X, but yeah, this one, little bit of a miss for me. I'm wondering how Gunvolt 3 turns out.
Okay, John, real quick, which has better relationships, Gunvolt or Sword Art Online?
Sword Art Online. Ooh. There's not enough time.
There's not really any time to develop. Yeah.
No. It's it probably doesn't matter. They kill off the lady character at the end of the first game, but then her soul is still alive in Gunvolt, and she's kidnapped at the start of the first game. At the second game, her soul is taken out of Gunvolt with magic and then kidnapped again.
Oof.
So she's kidnapped and then killed and then brought back to life so she could be kidnapped again.
She could be kidnapped again, yeah.
And then Copen also has a sister character who's also his idol that sings along, and she's also kidnapped.
Yep.
And then killed.
Great.
And then brought back to life. And it's like, okay, y'all have a specific mode for writing the ladies in these games.
Oh dear.
So, Gunvolt's a journey. So those were my two big video game journeys over the last 3 weeks. It's meatier when you have 3 weeks.
It is. There's so much you can pack in 3 weeks.
Whew. That was just the stuff I really felt like talking about. All right, Brett.
Hey,
what have you been up to, friend of mine?
So towards the end of the last podcast, I ranted about Rogue Legacy for half an hour.
Good.
And I came out of that one refreshed and thinking, yes, I am 100% done with that game. Right? I had moved it out of my favorites on Steam.
You perished it. You processed it on the podcast so you could finally let it go.
Yep.
I've had those moments.
And then I remembered I forgot something. That the game, it's not quite accessibility options. They call it house rules.
House rules.
That allow you to tweak things like how much damage the enemies do, how much health they have. And one of them is make it so enemies don't damage you when you touch them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can just walk through enemies. It is a difficulty modifier. So I was like, all right, I am 100% done with this game. Let's play around with those a little bit.
Let's see if we can sculpt an experience that feels right for me.
So given how I was so mad about the difficulty, I pushed those sliders as far as they would go, which was not like a true accessibility mode would let you just put them to like 0.
Mm-hmm.
This was like, okay, enemy damage is half and enemy HP is half. That's as far as it'll let you go.
Yeah.
I didn't do the one where enemies don't damage on contact, because that does. They have a thing in there. It says like, warning, this will make the game extremely easy. We recommend if you turn this on, turning the others up 20%. Like, oh my God, just let people play how they want.
So there's some people who like know that abstractly that they're supposed to have these kinds of options now, but they don't want to. So then they do it and they're really passive aggressive about it.
Begrudging, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think once it puts a thing on your screen at all times that says house rules activated or something.
God, that's funny.
Yeah, like even Celeste, when you use its accessibility stuff, felt a little like, come on, guys.
They changed the language.
Did they?
Yeah, they heard about the criticism.
Yeah, because I remember when I played it, it was just like, look, this is not how we intended that you play the game, so we'd really prefer you not do it, because that would be a real jerky thing to do to compromise our vision. But if you want to turn it on, whatever, I guess. Whatever.
No, yeah. Credit where it's credit's due. They definitely changed the language.
I didn't know they changed that.
Yep. This one sounds like it does not. It did not.
It's not that bad, but it is a little. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So enemy damage half, enemy HP half. Went through the rest of the game that way. I will not lie. It was extremely easy. Like, obviously. But I saw the rest of the content. I got to the last world, did the, trio of bosses at the end. I was like, okay, this was easy, but it didn't feel like completely broken easy. Let's try New Game Plus. And this was Sunday night. This was immediately after the podcast. I played for like 5 hours or something ridiculous and beat New Game Plus. And New Game Plus, with those difficulty modifiers being, again, I just want to stress how far I'm pushing these. Half enemy damage, half enemy HP, which means that, like, if I finish a boss fight at 1 HP, that means the boss would have been at like 25% down health. Because it's dying twice as fast, I'm dying twice as slow. Like, the scale is just so massively tilted in my favor.
Yeah.
And New Game Plus was still like right around where I would want the difficulty to be. And that felt a little fucking crazy.
Yeah.
God.
So I had a good time on New Game Plus with, Super Baby Easy mode. And then I hit New Game Plus 2. So the thing about this is that there's a true ending. I'm never going to get that true. Because again, they saw Hades and were like, let's do that.
Uh-huh.
Hades, I think you have to beat 10 times to get the true ending.
Yeah.
And then there's like 100% ending where you do literally everything, which takes hundreds of hours. But the true ending in Hades is 10 clears. In Rogue Legacy 2, the true ending is like 8 clears. I'm not going to get there.
I feel like Rogue Legacy is a far more boring game than Hades. To ask that of the player.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So New Game Plus 2, again, difficulty /down. It started to feel exactly like the game did to begin with on the original difficulty. Because that's the problem with it, is that it's so transparently just numbers now.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I can do a run, get 20,000 gold, upgrade a bunch of stats, and tilt things a little bit towards my favor. Do another run, get more gold, tilt it a little until you break through, and then it gets hard again. It's just, you're just walking the same line over and over of like, oh, it's too hard, now it's too easy. And it's just like, the game isn't diverse enough to justify, I think, that level of commitment from the player.
Yeah.
Because there are mods, again, another Hades thing of like, when you do a New Game Plus, you choose certain things to make harder, like more champion versions of enemies or something. More like make the castle like 20% bigger so the areas take longer. And then like there are alternate biomes for each world. And those are things that you have to get to like New Game Plus 3 or 4 to unlock. And it's just weird that they put some of the more interesting stuff so deep into it.
Yeah.
So I got one more good night out of it, and I was like, okay, I'm going to put this one to bed before I just fucking hate it all over again.
It's kind of wild how much I feel like there's a lot of a video game that is like, I'm trying to find the balance of this that feels right to me, whether it's like the house rule stuff or even just like using saves, using a walkthrough. All these things. Yeah. It's difficulty settings. There's a point where I'm kind of like, or I'm trying to kind of like, because I had that moment where like for like an hour and a half at the start of Gunvolt 1 where I was just like trying to find how to play it in a way that felt nice. Flailing
around, hoping for the best, trying to like, what am I not getting?
Yeah. So I'm trying to just be like, all right, this is just kind of part of the process. Let's engage. Let's figure it out.
I definitely struggle whenever I go back to older games. Like, you want a save state, but that makes it so fucking easy.
Yeah.
So it's like you're kind of missing the point when you just start of a level, save, and then do it perfectly, save, do it in the next segment perfectly, save. You know, just
I think I probably had a benefit for that because I had emulators from like age 11, so I was like emulators and game packs from like age 11. Yeah. So I like immediately went back to all the games I couldn't beat as a kid, like Super Metroid, and went to the past, and then was like, oh, this is easy now. So I did that for like 8 years, and then kind of realized like, okay, this is a little boring now. So I feel like that probably
you seem to go for the pure experience more now, for sure.
Yeah,
like I am not going to use a guide in these adventure games
because otherwise, what's the fucking point?
I'm just going to get mad at them for 3 hours.
Just going to get mad at myself.
Speaking of adventure games as a kid, I had Maniac Mansion on the NES. Could not even comprehend the nature of what it was.
I got words on the screen. I don't know what they do.
That was like, that's my like rental horror story of like, I don't directly move the character like Mario. What is this? Like literally, what is this?
We're all such fucking console.
We are like, but look, man, consoles were a hell of a lot more accessible and less expensive than PCs back in the 80s and 90s. Like there was no way I was getting my parents to buy a PC, but my parents would absolutely like drop $200 on a console for a Christmas or birthday present.
Totally.
I think besides flailing around in Maniac Mansion, my first like PC adventure game experience would be getting one of the Sam & Max games for like my Windows 3.1 PC. And then it wouldn't run because sound card something.
Oh
no! So I never actually played it.
Oh no! PC games, huh?
PC game again. You got PC games in like 80s and 90s was like vastly different than it is now.
The just fucking wild west of drivers and conflicts and shit.
It was saying something about your sound card driver not supported. I'm like, what's a driver? Or what's a driver? What's a driver? And then PC gaming got into 3D accelerators and stuff, and it's like, oh, this is a little too complicated till like the late 90s, and then I kind of could wrap my head around it.
Right.
Oh, so yeah, I was like, how did we get on this tangent? So Roguelite C2, done with that one.
Yeah.
Probably will not be on Game of the Year list.
Gosh. Imagine.
Shocking.
I'm shocked. Spoilers.
It was so funny though, where you guys were like, what is happening? Where I rant about it on the Sockscast, then immediately play 5 more hours.
Yeah, like I was just like, what the fuck is happening here? This is the whole review Starlight thing happening all over again.
You know what? Polly was right. The whole time. It's fun to just complain a lot about a thing really and then start liking it, because then you can just start liking it again. It's like, okay, I got that out of my system.
Yeah, you just gotta get it out. This other thing. You just bleed it out a little bit, get a little angry, say some curse words, drop an F-bomb or two.
Fuck this game, fuck everything.
There you go. You'll feel better.
For me, it was reaching that point of realizing I'm never going to play this again. And then also realizing, I did forget there's a difficulty option in there. I should probably look at that before uninstalling.
Yeah.
I got real mad at that game somehow. Some of the bosses are just so fucking unfair with the amount. It's like Danmaku in Rogue Legacy.
I mean, that's the same thing. Like, the Rogue Legacy had a similar problem where a lot of the bosses were kind of bullshit, but like you would eventually just get enough HP to kind of be able to face tank it out.
Woo! Euro design week. It's our podcast of Euro shmups.
Rogue Legacy, they actually updated. I don't know how. It's an old game. They updated at some point to do like super special versions of all the bosses that gave you a preset character to fight them with.
Oh.
So you had fixed stats and levels and gear and stuff.
Interesting.
And I did all of those in the original game.
Oh,
they were really hard, but they were doable. I think the second game pushes it much further into, hey, these are just avoidance sponges. I don't know. I did play one other game before the big one.
The big one.
So last week I was like, I've got two small things to talk about, and then Rogue Legacy was not a small thing. I also played Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh yeah, this is the Dark Souls Star Wars, I guess.
It's the kind of Dark Souls one. I think people really oversold that one.
Yeah.
The timing with me playing Elden Ring pretty earlier in this year was like, oh, okay, don't try to think this is going to feel exactly like Souls, and then of course it really doesn't. But gosh, the opening of this game, or like maybe like the first third of it, is just such a fucking grab bag of every Western AAA game trope.
Oh jeez.
It's just like, oh
waiting
yes,
for it to dip back into the late 2000s with maybe a turret section for old time's sake.
There is a turret section for sure.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
The turret section is pretty funny because I think you take control of an enemy like STST, like the big walker mech thing, and then rain hell on stormtroopers for like 4 minutes and then never again the entire game. It's like, hey, we're going to be Just Cause 3 for like 30 seconds. Like the window on the mech is like super small too. So only like a quarter of the screen is actually like active stuff happening.
Oh,
like
geez.
It is so but there's a lot of explosions.
I mean, explosions are good.
Yeah. It is funny you mentioned turret sections and I'm like, nope, they totally do that. It's got, it plays a lot like Uncharted, where you got your climbing, your wall running, your swinging. It's got bonfires from Dark Souls. I haven't played like a Western AAA video game in a while.
Well, they only make 4 a year now, right?
Yeah, but it's been even longer than that, where I think looking it up like through my history, it was like, okay, at the end of, I guess it was the end of 2020, I played Sunset Overdrive, which is like kind of a weird one that I would say barely counts.
Yeah.
And then earlier in 2020, I played Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which was bad.
Rad, you're the what's the word? Ambassador for these games on the podcast. If you're not going to do it, who will? Who will stand up?
Well, unfortunately, I'm sitting down. I mean, I don't know. I think with the way the PlayStation 5 has gone so far, I remember being like, I'm going to get a PS5 and I'm going to play God of War and Spider-Man. Spider-Man coming to PC now. You don't have to buy.
You don't even have to.
Yeah. But it was like, I have all these
thanks for the raid, nerd.
I have all these PlayStation Plus games that I'm going to play once I get a PS5. And then the PS5 came out and then immediately started getting scalped for $800. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's off the table for now. And I think I just have kind of fallen out of love with that style of game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like
so Star Wars, yeah.
Nothing there for me anymore on that in that vein, I think.
Yeah.
So the funny give it like 10 years and that can have like a, what if these games were actually good? No,
they're very pretty. I mean, that's kind of the one thing. It's like, oh, get to explore pretty environments. Yep. But then, I don't know, I think Souls does that better because there's just something about the way exploration in Elden Ring or Souls games works that just feels more organic. And I really can't figure out why. Like, they feel like places and not just video game levels.
Mm.
Oh, so the other thing about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is that like it's got a lot of scanning and like the map is very Metroid Prime-y. Like it really feels like this grab bag of, the way you climb like Assassin's Creed. Like it's just grab bag from a little bit of everything.
That's how I remember Arkham Asylum feeling. Just kind of like we took a lot of ideas from other things.
Yeah,
it's like what if we mixed Resident Evil 4 with Metroid and all these other things?
The funny thing about people saying, "Oh, this one's Dark Souls," is that if anything, it feels the most like Sekiro because you've only got the lightsaber, your one weapon, and there's a lot of parrying with it. And the funny thing is that Sekiro came out like 5 or 6 months before this, so there's no way it was actually a direct influence. But there's bosses in this where the way to win is just parry until you fill up their stamina gauge and it breaks, and then you can do a bunch of damage, which is just exactly the same. So besides like people bitched about backtracking in this, like there's a few parts where it's like very obviously stretched out because you go revisit a few locations. I had a good time with this, not like a great time, but it's like the story was decent enough to have a fun time with it. But I was like, okay, this was my fun once in a while AAA diversion. Maybe in 2 years I'll play another one. So nothing like particularly earth-shattering here.
Yeah.
I think for me it's funny because was John going to say something?
I was just my Western AAA point of reference was from 2009. It's like, like Arkham Asylum. It's only 13 years old.
I mean, it's the best Arkham game, at least.
I liked Origins. In fact, of the 3 I played, I didn't play the latest one. Asylum was my least favorite.
Oh, wow. I think I liked it because it was more of a guided experience and less open world bullshit. And I'm so out. I so check out on open world shit like right now. I just got no time for it.
Arkham Asylum to me felt like, boy, this tutorial is really long. When are they going to let me play the game? And then the game ended. I'm like, oh, okay. It was just a very guided experience the whole time.
That's fair. Mm-hmm. That's fair.
So Star Wars was fine. I think for me, I can have a good time with these games because I'm playing them years later for like $5 and not dropping 60, 70 on them and expecting.
Yeah.
Like I go in with pretty low expectations and they're always relatively met, you know.
Like I got Asylum for $4. So
PC game prices are crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, those Batmans, it's been 13 years. Make some money off it. Hey, is there the studio's just like, is there anybody who hasn't played this yet? It's $4.99. Anybody?
Please.
Okay. Please.
We'll suck your cock if you play it.
So yeah, this was one of the decent ones, I'd say.
Okay,
I don't know.
That's cool.
Every now and then I'll play one of these games and I'll just be like, wow, this is so fucking pretty. Holy shit.
Games can be so pretty. It is funny.
I didn't know they could be so pretty. Like when I played Xenoblade X and it was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, that was kind of my moment. Like lately with Xenoblade Definitive Edition was like, oh wait, yeah, games can be like breathtakingly pretty, can't they?
Mm-hmm. The cutscenes in that game are insane.
Oh God, they're nuts.
When you spend a lot of money on a video game, it can look really, really pretty.
Yeah.
So that's legit.
The main 3 of those Batman games are $9.99 together right now on PSN.
Jesus.
$8.99.
Games are worth nothing. Media is worth nothing.
Media is valueless.
And it's funny that my reference for a recent AAA game is also from 2019.
Yeah.
It took me a little. I was still listening to Giant Bomb when this came out.
We are not the podcast that you come to if you want to hear about the game that just came out last week, unless it is
unless Elden Ring,
unless it's Elden Ring. Or a weird indie game that came out on itch, or the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative, something like that.
Yeah, actually,
we're not.
There's actually a lot of games we play like right away, thinking about it. But
yeah.
The next 2 games I plan to play are as soon as they come out.
Nice.
So Polly
on the pulse, unless Metroid Dread, of course.
Yeah.
Y'all hopped on that so much, and then you even pulled me into the zeitgeist. Yeah. I was like, oh, fucking fine. And then I played it and it kicked ass.
I'll play a shitty Nintendo game.
I'll play a Nintendo game. It's not even, is it really even a Nintendo game?
Nah, I don't call it a Nintendo game because that game is wholeheartedly Mercury Steam.
Yeah. The only, all third parties don't count as Nintendo except the ones that make Pokemon and Kirby. Those are Nintendo.
Yeah. They're the devil.
That's how I divide it in my head.
All right. How do you guys feel about the future?
Bleak.
Okay, how do you feel about
pretty all right
how do you feel about the future in terms of like cool new video games to play?
Pretty great.
Oh, great.
Okay, cool. What if I told you that I recently played demos for 4 very cool video games that I'm going to give recommendations to. Things that you can look out for in the future, 3 of which still have demos available.
Fuck yeah.
What about that? How about that? How's that for a segment?
Let's do it.
In the year 2000! Somebody will get that.
I got it.
All right.
That's one.
There we go. We did it. You know what? That's all you need.
That's all you need.
You need one person, and then you are truly and well perceived.
Mm-hmm. You've been perceived. You exist. You verifiably exist.
All right. The first demo I'm going to give a shout out to does not have a demo currently available, but I do believe this game is releasing this summer. It is called Solace State. This is a cyberpunk future-y visual novel about a girl named Chloe who is a hacker that has lost contact with her best friend and mentor Rebecca, who has seemingly she's gone missing in an area that's basically been shut down and quarantined and cordoned off by the government for unknown reasons.
What's the name of this game one more time?
Solace State. SOLACE State.
Oh, Solace State. Okay. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah. I think they added an emotional cyberpunk story to the subtitle, which wasn't there when I played the demo. It was really funny. It's but okay, that's the title. Cool. And so she starts hooking up with people to gather information and hopefully get in there and make some headway on that.
Hooking up or hooking up?
You can hook up in this game too. There is a romantic. There is a romantic aspect to this game. You can romance I believe you can romance a boy, girl, and a non-binary person. So,
good.
There you go. And the game kind of takes you, like this demo basically that I played took you through a narrative portion where you meet up with another hacker named Torrent. He's very cute. I like him a lot. And he's gonna help Chloe get started on the ground and to help start gathering information. He gives her a place to stay, things like that, while they're hovering outside the area that's getting cordoned off. And then there's a more gameplay oriented portion where you're actively hacking in on the real world. You're assuming identities, mind control. It's a lot of cool, fun shit. Very cool showpiece. Cool. It's a cool way that they play with the world and how they visualize hacking. It's very if you like shit like Ghost in the Shell, this is going to be right up your fucking alley.
Cool.
It's one of those games that really stresses that choices matter, and it definitely felt like the couple of situations that I was in during the gameplay portion, could have long-standing consequences, and characters would view Chloe differently. So that stuff that stuff seems like that could be real cool if all of that pans out. But this game also has a really fantastic, gorgeous presentation, and it's really neat for a visual novel. I've never seen one done like this where it's 3D environments and the camera is set up to kind of swoop through them and pause at random points, and the narrative bits that are where they're telling you what's happening in the story, that shit kind of flies up and splays itself across buildings and windows and screens. And then and it's just a really impressive piece of work. I was really shocked at how cool and slick this thing seems, along with just how well realized the world is. So I think that if you like what you heard there, if you like some cyberpunk Ghost in the Shell kind of shit, Solace State, gonna be one to keep your eyes on. Again, that demo is not currently available, unfortunately, but it does come back.
In the chat.
Oh, yeah, but it does come back. Anytime they do those Indie Fest, it seems that they put this demo back up. So when Steam does those Indie Fest, this will probably be up for you to play again. But I also think that this is due out this summer, so it might just be, it might just be out by the next time one of those happens. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Next one, a little bit short. This one does have a demo available on Steam. It is named Ubel, Ubel. So this is another adventure-y visual novel kind of dealy where they're very clearly going for a Zero Escape vibe. Maybe a little on the nose with the way it's paralleling Zero Escape with the premise of a death game and a masked mastermind and hints of shit that may go off the rails into some pseudo-science-y crazy ways. But if you're into that kind of escape room narrative shit, this is probably going to tick a few of the boxes for you. I played it. I did a video on this one. And like the first puzzle, the game made me mad.
Oh no!
But it's just because I'm dumb, and I will be the first to admit that I am very impatient with things sometimes. Yeah.
Tell us about it. Not that's something we've all dealt with.
Yeah.
Since the last podcast, I think.
Sounds like we're all in that same headspace. But yeah, this seems like it's going to be okay. They ended with a pretty successful Kickstarter, so I think that this one is probably still like a year or so out, maybe. But I liked what I played. Like, the characters seem interesting enough. There feels like a hook there. Like, when you dangle something that's very adjacent to Zero Escape in front of me, I'm going to be probably on board in some way or another. But yeah, that is called Ubel. It's Ubel. And again, that demo is available on Steam. All right, I got a couple more. We'll get through these, don't you worry. The next one that I played.
Keep them coming. I like this.
Next time I played
underground stuff.
It's called Jack Move, and the demo that is currently available for it is called Jack Move Icebreaker. This one is a little on the shorter side. This one will probably only take you maybe 20-25 minutes to play, so you don't really get a huge chunk of what is going on with this game. Just kind of gist that it's a futuristic cyberpunk. You guys are kind of noticing a pattern here, I think.
Yep. Hey, Polly, do you like Ghost in the Shell?
Guys, you think I might have a preferred genre of fiction?
Hey, Polly, do you like Phantasy Star?
I was just sitting here as I was talking. I was like, wait a minute, that's fucking 3 games in a row.
Cyberpunk.
What is going on here? What am I doing? And it's the fact, it's funny because I will never play Cyberpunk 2077.
God, no. That other game, the first game you mentioned, had that subtitle of like emotional cyberpunk stories.
Yeah.
And then the description for this one says gritty cyberpunk storytelling.
Yeah, that's what's gritty.
It shows the battle screen and it has the Phantasy Star 2 grid lines.
It's the Phantasy Star.
Yeah.
They're animated though. They move.
Oh, fuck yeah.
When you take damage, they like flash, so it's a little more dynamic. This is a JRPG styled cyberpunk future-y hacky story. The demo doesn't really give you a whole lot to go with story-wise, just some kind of like flavor text of what's going on. I think basically what they're throwing you into is basically like the cold open for the game, where they're teaching you to get the mechanics, they're teaching you everything about how the battle works. That's mostly what this demo is focusing on. There's some light kind of banter between you and the person that's working with you as your operator. But for the most part, this game is really this demo is mostly about kind of like learning how the turn-based combat feels. It's really snappy. Cool. It's got like a turn grid system. I think that it's a solo RPG too. I don't think you get a party in this game. So like I've not played an RPG with a solo character since God.
There's not
Vagrant Story.
There's like Vagrant Story maybe, but that's like a different kind of thing. But sort of like
E6.
E6, there you go.
E6 Ease Origin.
But kind of like the kind of the main gist, I think that's going to be where this game's combat comes in and the way they keep it tactical is that like you have like a limited amount of RAM for the programs that you can use, and you have to swap them in and out during battle to kind of like, I was like, oh, I need to swap in the healing item now, and like when you do that, you take less damage on the turn that you're installing new programs and stuff. So this one's probably going to be cool. Like I would have liked to have seen more of the writing and the story play out, but it at least like it has. Like, at least right now, it at least has the charm of Cosmic Star Heroine anyway. And I think that it looks and sounds really great already. So I think this one's actually out this year, too, I think. I think that one might actually be, like, the one that's probably the closest to coming out. And I played one more demo that I think is still available, and it is called Cursed to Golf.
So this not a cyberpunk adventure.
This one's not a cyberpunk adventure. We're finally taking a break from the cyberpunk. You can come on back. I'm reeling you back now. I'm reeling you back to the most exciting sport on the planet, golf. All right, so Cursed to Golf. This one grabbed my attention because I'm not sure I've ever seen the genre approached like this, but Cursed to Golf is a 2D side-scrolling golf game with a catch. And I'm gonna probably lose some of you with this next catch because they almost lost me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a roguelike. Yeah, okay. But I think the gameplay is good enough to save it. It's a roguelike. Every hole is procedurally generated, and you have to finish all 18 holes of golf to get your way out of golf purgatory. And there are various like different kind of biomes as you go up, like as you're working your way out. The gimmick here is that you were struck by lightning on a golf course, and then you've got to golf your way out of golf purgatory.
That's pretty good.
And you start every hole, which again is randomly generated with like the hazards that you'll face and the way that you have to kind of get your way there. You start with 5 shots to get the ball to the hole and get over the terrain and, you know, avoid various hazards and stuff. And you earn more shots by hitting shot idols as you go along. So you're not going to be just like have to do every hole in 5 shots. There's ones that give you 4 extra shots and then ones that give you 2 extra shots. And you could hit your ball into shit with like teleporters and fans. It gave me a real what's the Kirby golf game? Kirby's Dream Course. It gave me that kind of vibe, but a lot easier to play and judge things like distance and how the ball was going to react. Like, I think like your control over the ball's trajectory, the way in which you can put backspin and topspin on it very easily. They give you all the tools that like really make it feel really good. To shoot, just to shoot. It feels really good. You've only got 3 club types, and each one has a specific purpose, so you never, there's nothing overwhelming about what it's doing. It's trying to present, like, all of this to you as very simply as possible. And you also have, like, a small deck of cards that you can use to affect your shots in various ways. You can make your ball drop immediately in the mid-air. Like when you activate this card and you press the B button while your shot's in the air, you can just make the shot drop. Or there's one that'll like blow your ball into like 3 or 4 different balls, and when the shot's over, you can pick which ball you want to go from.
Oh.
So I think that like that stuff is what's going to make this a very fun, cool, and interesting thing. It's like the way all of these systems play with each other and the simplicity of everything. I think that like the fact that it's a roguelike and the fact that you've got to do all of these 18 holes in one go, and the fact that it's just really snappy, I don't think any of that's all going to feel really bad. Like it just like this.
Maybe sometimes the proc gen is nice.
Yeah, like this game just feels super good, and like it's not hard to get into the mechanics at all. The demo is very good at easing you into how all of it works. I think this one's going to be real cool, like with just how incredibly good it already feels. Like I'm already feeling like this is probably a day one for me. Like I think all 4 of these games are like a day one for me. Like that's how much of an impression. Like even Ubel, which is like the one I feel I know the least about, and I feel that like Jack Move, like that game, like I like despite the fact that I don't know a lot about it story wise yet, like I think the tone that they were trying to go for is there, and it's present enough for me to go like, okay, I know what you're doing, and I think I will have a lot of fun with you. So yeah, that's 4 really cool damn games, 3 of which you can check out. And those are going to be those are all coming out this year. Is Solid State, whose demo is not currently available. Ubel, demo currently available. Jack Move, you just download the version that's called Jack Move Icebreaker. And Cursed to Golf, which and they're all pretty meaty demos aside from aside from Jack Move, like the Curse to Golf demo. I was surprised. I think it let me go like three complete holes, not to mention like the 20 or 30 minutes it takes to kind of tutorialize you on all of the stuff that it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just lots of cool shit.
I enjoy watching your like kind of like demo binges where you just kind of go through a bunch of these and get like a little taste of all these upcoming things and then figure out what excites you enough to want to jump in. Right when it comes out. I think that's awesome.
That's something that I've been able to use my stream for. That's been really fun. Like it's just finding cool demos, seeing what lands, and seeing like what other people are liking. And I know that like those streams have turned other people onto things. Like I know people that tried out Transaruby because they saw me stream it, the demo for it, or Super Crush KO because I demoed that on the stream a few times. That stuff is really cool. I like helping people discover cool games, and so yeah, like having like these are like 4 right here, cream of the crop so far. Like this is just
cool.
So absolutely awesome. Check all those out. Just really really cool shit. Gaming's cool. It turns out video games.
Sometimes video games are fucking great.
The world may be burning around us. The world may be burning down around us, and we may literally hate waking up every morning. But at least there are cool video games on the horizon to help us rot our brains away and just forget about things for a little bit. And that's the fucking best we can hope for right now, right?
Yep.
How about a 5-minute break?
Let's do it.
Sure.
We'll be right back with half number 2.
Sup, nerdos?
Whoa! Whoa! What is this slander over here? Dropping the big N on us. That's probably not how you want to word that, is it? That's probably the absolute worst way I could have worded that. It's a good thing nobody watches this. It's a good thing nobody listens to this. The big Nintendo. There we go. Beepner with the save. Dropping the big Nintendo word on us.
I have a gamer moment there.
Gosh, can't believe John finally had his online gamer moment.
How was your gamer moment?
No! Oh, man. You do it to yourself. You do. And that's what really hurts.
I get that reference.
You do. It's a Radiohead song from the Bends from 1994.
Oh, it's probably the Radiohead I've listened to the most.
I like OK Computer the most, I think.
I don't know if I like it the most. I just know I've listened to the Bends the most.
Yeah, it's a good album.
Just for whatever reason. Yeah.
God,
I just had the weirdest, like a vivid sense memory of like albums I've listened to in my dreams that don't actually exist. Like, yeah, I just got pulled very back immediately into what I know in my brain was a dream of an album that's not real.
Weird.
Oh no, right. Millie out here. Millie out here. Millie is out here in my chat, standing for King of Limbs. Ouch. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I like the From the Basement version. That one's pretty good. Have you ever heard King of Limbs from the Basement? That one's real good. But yeah, that studio version, oofa doofa. As John Thayer has been continuously quoted as saying. All right. Hi, everybody. Doing okay out there in internet land still? Are you still with us?
I'm doing good.
Still riding or dying with your favorite Socks pals? Should be.
I hope so, because we got some hot content coming out.
We got hot slop content just coming straight for your face. John, just deliver. Give it to him.
Hey,
coming
Rhett,
out swinging. I want to hear it.
I always preface this with, hey, Rhett, but I watched some anime.
Oh. Yes, because Polly does not watch anime.
I want to. I want to watch 86, but
it was very funny doing this. They had those memes where everyone was filling in like what they watched on the 100 list, and I realized like, oh wow, I've done a lot more than almost all of my friends. I am pretty into anime. I just compare myself with Rhett, so I feel like a very casual viewer.
Yeah, like I'm the one that like collected for years, and I have a big DVD Blu-ray collection. I have a VHS collection still, and like even I'm considered just casual now by Rhett standards.
Sorry, Polly. Sorry, Polly.
Nah, it's totally fine. It's totally fine.
Rhett's very into anime.
You know, there was a shift around 2007, 2009 that said, hey, if you want to keep watching anime, you're going to have to like Moe a little bit.
Yeah, you gotta kind of have to accept that is part of the deal now.
The trends have changed. It's weird when I see people talking about Gurren Lagann as like the last big mecha anime. Like, no, that's still current. God.
No, Rhett, that's 2007.
Oh, that's funny. Well, yeah, there's a certain shift, and then like all that like old 80s Ninja Scroll energy, that Ghost in the Shell energy that Polly loved, it all just vanished. They stopped making anime with any kind of edge.
Yeah.
So I watched Devilman Crybaby.
Oh, right. This one.
This is a lot of edge.
This is like the edgiest of the edge.
Oh, boy.
I started watching this on a plane. That was a mistake.
That first, I mean, every episode, but especially that first, I got
into the club and was just like, kind of looked at the guy next to me a little bit.
I am the person on the plane. I am the person on the plane that if you are watching what I am watching, and if you are going to judge me on those decisions, God bless you. But I'm going to sit here and I'm going to fucking watch F3 on the plane. Don't you fucking worry.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
I showed my dad the first episode of this show, fully knowing what was about to happen. And he was just like, huh, that was a bit much.
Well, guess what? The rest of the show is also much.
Yeah.
We could describe this. If we could describe this show in one word, it would be much.
So it's also got all these. So I think probably the 80s OVA comparison is probably pretty apt. It even has like a bunch of like 80s-y synths to it. It's based on a manga from I think the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Like it feels a little bit out of time. A big comparison for me is it made me think of like Ralph Bakshi movies with the like purposefully very stylized and rough animation, and also it being extremely horny in a really weird way. This
not
is
a conventionally horny way.
No, this is people having an orgy in a club, and then one of the ladies, a lady that's getting fucked, turns into a demon, and her vagina turns into a giant mouth and eats the man that's fucking her.
Sexy as fuck.
Pretty conventionally horny, actually.
Yeah, so that's pretty normal. That's pretty. I mean, that's pretty
standards.
It's pretty tame by our standards, I think.
Yeah, that's episode 1. It's just a lot throughout.
It's hard to talk about without spoiling it, and also just going, it's a lot, especially the endings.
Yeah. Here's my takeaway. I think I mostly appreciated this as a mood and an aesthetic where it is so good at creating a certain atmosphere and aesthetic. There's a sort of mythic power to the story that I liked a lot. It's very biblical. It's literally very biblical.
Yes.
The devil man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Christ parallel stuff it brings up at one point. I think I felt in a way that I sometimes feel with like biblical type stories, I felt a kind of distance from it where it's sort of like, it's not pulling me in the same way that a lot of more modern films and shows do. It's more like I'm feeling the power of this story from a little bit of a more of an emotional distance. I think like we watched Passion of the Christ and not Passion of the Christ. We watched Last Temptation of Christ. And there's a little bit of that energy there.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're feeling the lesson, I guess, more as much as anything. I don't know. It feels a little bit epic, I guess. But I'm also saying that I never cried at it. Also, even though some really heinous shit happens to characters that you like.
Yeah.
So I think I would go into this for seeing it kind of an old story adapted extremely lovingly and in a very artistically fascinating and strong way. Like I think this is a showpiece for just Yuasa's kind of style in a lot of ways. I want to read the manga. It's only like 5 volumes.
That's the funny thing about this is that maybe it's due to the content of the manga that this is actually the first time they did a full adaptation of it.
Yep.
Like the original OVA, I think, didn't get to the end, and then there was like a Devilman that was like highly censored and basically turned into a kid's show. Yeah. Which they kind of make fun of in this one. I think it exists in this. Yeah.
It's very funny. I'm very interested in this kind of energy. I kind of want to just go back and actually watch a bunch of 80s OVAs. Like I'm kind of ready. I want to revisit Ninja Scroll. I've kind of wanted that texture for a while, and I'm interested in that. Just like old exploitative, grody, bloody.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a vibe. It is a vibe.
Anime.
But also check out the cool, tasteful stuff like Project Echo.
I've got that on my shelf. I'm really excited. But yeah, I had a really good time with this one. This was at the top of my good anime queue. I had like I want to watch some shonen stuff. I've got that queue, and then I've got like the good stuff, like Devilman Crybaby and Your Lie in April, and so here's this is the genre is good anime, and then like isekai trash. It's the other column. Yeah. So this was a very good time. I've done just. I know last time we talked about. I think we talked about or the time before that talked about A Silent Voice and Listen to Bluebird.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think I kind of glazed over this last time because I was only a little ways through a couple of shows. I've been watching just a ton of more Yamada stuff with Cecile. So like we watched all of Tamako Market and the movie Tamako Love Story. Tamako Market is really funny because it seems like it should just be like a normal slice of life within kind of a cool setting where it's in this literally like kind of personal market more than it's in like a school. But there's also this like very strange fantastical element that is like the main plot of the show ostensibly, but it always feels like slightly disconnected from all the slice of life stuff. So it was a fun time. The whole time it felt just a little bit weird. Like it's like the story of it feels at odds with everything else that's happening with all the slice of life texture stuff, but it's very cute and very pretty. And it has like that really nice, like piano score. The movie was fucking great. Tamako Love Story. It just pulls away from the fantastical stuff basically entirely and just focuses on two people confessing to each other. And that's the whole movie. It is 80 minutes and it is entirely about one person working up their nerve to confess to somebody and then the other person processing and responding to them. And that is the whole movie.
So it's a direct sequel to the TV show?
Yes. Yeah, you need to watch the show.
Okay.
I still like the show. Yeah. I really liked it.
That kind of makes it make more sense that it's the culmination of the whole build-up series, maybe.
Yeah. It's the culmination of like the story that actually mattered from the show. And then it happens in the movie. It's a little Review Starlight where it's like, oh wow, this makes the whole series kind of better in retrospect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked it. Probably not quite as much as Liz and the Bluebird or Silent Voice. It's a little bit smaller, I think, but it's very cute. It's like Silent Voice and Liz and the Bluebird are like Liz and the Bluebird is ultimately like the kind of sad breakup thing. Yeah. And then Silent Voices just has a lot of heavy shit in it. This is purely something cute and sweet and nice, but it does it in a way that feels very honest and true to life with like my experiences with these kinds of things. Like it touched me personally where like, even though it's mostly just sweet, it still feels just as honest as those other movies. So I like Yamada a lot, y'all. There's also a gay girl that is very definitely crushing on Tamako throughout the series. And the end of the movie, she like lets go so that she can go with the other person. And it's just like very honestly, like really classy and smart with how it's handled.
Do you like always love the character the most? It has to be the one to let go of their feelings. Happened in Toradora too.
Yep. And it's like Liz and the Bluebird was, okay, now let's make a movie from that character's perspective.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
It's very funny. So that's the kind of nice melancholy tinge to it that I enjoyed. We watched the first season of K-On! And
we doing it.
Cool. I'm taking my headphones off. Nice. I
swear to God, I went into this knowing you both hated it. Known for 10 years that y'all hate it. That's one of the first things I learned about anime.
John's like, can't wait to like it.
Higurashi good. K-On! Bad. 2008 opinions.
Well, Polly, for the record, I had like 8 years that were like, oh, Polly likes it, so that means it's good. So it's progress in a sense.
It had to be fucking K-On! It had to be this one of all the fucking things. K-On is the one.
It's a very funny show to get so mad about. Really.
It is. It really is. It really is.
That's the thing. I like went into it like with like this defensive mindset a little bit. Like, okay, well, I fucking love this creator's movies. I've seen a couple clips from the show and they were really cute and funny. I'm primed. I'm ready to give this a shot. And overthinking K-On! Makes me want to die. I hate it. I can't.
But there are people that really want you to do that.
Oh my God. It's just cute and funny. That's all. I liked it. It was cute and funny. I laughed a lot.
Head empty, only sweets.
Head empty. It's I just ate the cake and I liked the cake. Look, all right. I have like 3 thoughts that I think have
That's more than you eat.
That's more than you.
That's more than you. Fucking love Yui.
And then you say that, and I
now I know he's just doing it to be contrarian. I'm kidding.
Mm-hmm. I know you're kidding. I have like 3 thoughts, and then anything beyond that is just like, no, stop it. This is a stupid show. It's a stupid, cute anime comedy. Actually, I have 4 thoughts. All right. Okay. Number 1, I laughed a lot while watching it. So that's a pretty objective measure for something like this. It's like, okay, the comedy worked for me. If it didn't for y'all, that's fine.
I didn't know that it was a comedy.
It's definitely a comedy. It is there for jokes.
It's trying to be funny. I think.
The fucking bathtub full of crabs.
Okay, do not remember that.
Yeah,
there's this extended beat where like the one person is watching Yui as a little kid, and she just sees Yui reaching into the river and fishing out a little crab and putting it in a bucket. And she just kind of follows her, and she sees like, oh, she's filled up the bucket, and she just follows her to the. It takes like goes place over like a minute and a half, and Yuri just walks into the bathroom and walks back out, and the kid walks into the bathroom and sees the bathtub is just full of these little crabs, and it's just completely inexplicable, and it made me cackle. I can't believe y'all remember the bathtub full of crabs and aren't laughing with me.
I tried to tune out as much of that show as I could after this.
Why did you watch it?
After the first season.
Okay. That was the first season. I only watched season 1.
Yeah.
All right. So thought 2.
That's still the first thought, those 2 things.
That was the first thought was that I thought it was funny. Okay. Thought 2 is like right in like the first episode, there's a line where Yui's like, wow, you all aren't very good at all, but it looks like a lot of fun. And I was just like, and she's just like beaming like, yeah, I want to join. And I think I'd come right off of like having a really long chat about like itch game stuff and making games and creating stuff. And the idea of the ethos of the show being just like, well, this is going to be fun. Doesn't really matter if we're good or not. It's just going to be fun. Really resonated with me in that moment. I was just like, yeah, doesn't matter. It's just a high school band. We're just having a good time. Fuck yeah. And I felt like the show supported that for a good chunk of it, where like even the first performance, it like cuts to like a music video. And for pretty much for the performances, my brain just kind of went like, this is how they feel while they're playing it. It's not that they're literally this cool and awesome and good. This is how they feel. They feel like rock stars, and that's awesome.
As somebody that has played a lot of live shows and played bad live shows at that, I can tell you straight up, yeah, you feel like a fucking rock star no matter what you're doing on stage when you have people's attention like that.
Yeah, and that's cool. So I liked that part of the energy. I liked that it was coming off of Liz and the Bluebird. I liked it that it was just like, doesn't really matter. We're just having fun. Don't practice. We don't need to practice.
Oh, geez. I will say Sound Euphonium, again, 100% the opposite there.
Well, that's
like,
the thing.
Practice is death to them. It is perform or die.
Well, that's the thing. Now I've watched all of K-On! And I'm ready to go back to Sound Euphonium. And like, okay, now let's get into like the real shit. I watched we started Sound Euphonium today. We watched the first 2 episodes. It seems very good so far.
Very pretty.
It's very pretty. So third thought about K-On! Is that I feel like Yui is just like almost like extremely on the nose, like ADHD diagnosis, where like the first thing that happens as she leaves is her like going to school and then and being late, and she runs out the door. Oh, I'm late for school. And then gets distracted helping people and doing a couple other things. And for me, like when a character like gets up and finds that Yui is practicing in the beach in the middle of the night, I kind of suddenly got this image of just like, okay, this is a person who is distracted a lot of times and then gets like 10-hour hyperfixation mode on guitar and learns a lot about it and then doesn't know all these other things and then goes and does something else.
See, my thing with Yui learning guitar is I don't ever think I got the learning arc. I think it was just, she's just naturally good.
I get that.
If you would have given me that journey, like if there would have been that extra bit, just that little bit of her learning the damn guitar, because you can learn a lot about guitar in a small amount of time, even with just like scales and chords, and they could have done a lot with that, but they didn't even do that. She was just naturally good at it from the start.
I remember seeing a Twitter thread that was like, oh, well, at the commercial break, there's the cassettes playing and the cassettes get better every episode. That's Yui practicing. Like it's this tiny kind of almost hidden detail, which I don't think counts for a lot.
It doesn't work for me.
I think that's really fair. And it seems like Sound Euphonium is that show, and I'm really excited to watch it. This is the show that is, we're just doing this for fun. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
The season finale is they have their big performance at the school, and Yui comes to school and she forgets her guitar. So she has to run back home and get her guitar and then run back in. And then she misses half the performance and she walks up and she's crying because she's sad that she keeps fucking things up for her friends. And then her friends are just like, don't worry, it's okay. We love you. Because it doesn't matter, because they're just having fun. And I was like, oh, that's really nice. Because I played band in school. I mostly just fucked around. I wasn't really committed to it, but I had a lot of fun. And this kind of helped me look back on that time like, okay, I still had a good...
I can kind of tie that. About that. I can kind of tie that to something, because you're just like always late for podcasts. And you constantly fucking them up. But we still love you.
And thank you, Polly. I appreciate that. So I just kind of kept seeing myself in you. I don't have a diagnosis or anything. I kept seeing myself in high school in Yui, just like making dumb mistakes and forgetting things and then just having that, but having still enjoying being creative. They explicitly tell us that like before this, Yui basically did not have any outlet. She wasn't really interested in school. They have a vision of her in middle school before joining the band where she just like is kind of just laying around all day at home, bored. And then she finds this outlet and just gets really into it. It was like, oh, that was the part that I connected with, not like the arc of getting better at the guitar or any of the actual specifics of performing in a band. I don't think it gives you a journey on that. And I think if that feels like something that's missing, I think it kind of does feel like something that's missing to an extent.
I liked Beck Mongolian Chop Squad because it does have that kind of similar arc.
Yeah. And again, Sound Euphonium is definitely going to be doing that. But this was not that, and I've still found a lot to connect with and laugh with. And also it's all that Yamane animation. Just made me happy. Thought 4, I don't like the teacher. I don't think she's funny. She annoyed me the whole time.
I don't even remember the teacher.
The teacher
was like a little bit horny. Yeah, right.
She has the history where she was like in a metal band.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. All right.
Like that was funny, but she's the one that like gropes them and puts them in outfits and everything. And I'm like, this feels at odds.
That's weird.
Yeah, because I felt like this very convincingly felt like it was a show about children to me in a way that
definitely
felt nice. And I don't want to see anything horny with them.
No,
and the teacher
not.
touching on that was just like, don't like this.
It's like if you tried to sexualize Hidamari's sketch or something. It's like, no,
oh God,
stop,
Polly,
no, don't, stop.
Yeah. So those are my K-On! Thoughts.
Okay, can I just
boil down? Go ahead, Rhett.
I'm gonna mellow out. I'm not gonna go full. Oh, I hate the show. But here's where it bummed me out.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a show about music.
Yeah,
I wanted a show about 4 girls starting a band and taking it seriously. And there's one specific thing. It's kind of interesting that you mentioned the first episode of being like, we're just gonna have fun.
Yeah.
Because as I remember it, this is over a decade ago. Christ, at this point, I remember the first episode as them being like, and someday we're gonna play.
We're gonna play Budokan. Yeah, they're like, there's definitely we want to go at this seriously like vibe there, at least at the start, and that's exactly why like when I saw that first episode, I was willing to kind of like ride with it a bit because I felt that they were trying to capture that.
You know how I heard that line in my head? I heard that exact line. We're gonna go to Budokan, and it's Ritsu just standing there. We're going to Budokan, and the other's like, what? I heard that as, and we're gonna make an MMORPG with a bunch of different assets and worlds and characters, and it's gonna be the biggest thing since Skyrim. I was just like, oh, that's not happening.
I think
it's because I'm primed because y'all.
You're primed because
heard from you and Polly. Like, I think you even said that thing about the Budokan before, so I kind of already went into. I don't know how I would have reacted to it. If I, with virgin ears.
We were watching it when it was literally episode 1 had aired, and that was it. And it said, okay, they're saying that they're going to play Budokan, and then you got that ending theme where it's like them actually looking super professional. Like the ending, I would say. The ending is great.
Oh, The performance pieces from that show, I'm not going to throw any stones at that. That shit's real dope.
I think your read on that's how they feel is probably more accurate to like maybe what they're going through.
Yeah.
I always saw it though as like, this is what they're going to actually become someday. And then obviously it never gets to that. I think the whole like we're gonna play Budokan thing is why when I recommended the show A Place Further Than the Universe to Polly, and they start that show off going, we're gonna go to Antarctica. And Polly told me I don't think they're going to go to Antarctica.
I was like 2 or 3 episodes in, I was like, we're never getting to Antarctica, are we? Oh, like we're there 6 episodes in. Okay. All right, this show earned something.
K-On! Had burned her so hard on a promise not being remotely fulfilled.
Like, despite the fact that it had all this praise, I was just like, I don't know, they're not going, are they? Fucking shit.
I think the show y'all wanted it to be almost certainly would have been better and more substantive.
Right.
Like, I think that's absolutely fair.
It's fine.
I just found a lot to like with what it is.
Okay.
That's fine.
I invented my whole headcanon arc for where I think the first season of the show should have gone, and then 10 years passed and I realized, oh right, that's not actually what happens in the show. Where like as I was watching it week to week, being more and more frustrated that music wasn't really happening, I was like, what should happen is Azusa gets frustrated with them not practicing, she quits the band, joins some other girls, mics her own band, and then they have like a battle of the bands at the end.
That would have been rad.
And then I realized 10 years later, oh, that's not how it actually went. She just fucking gritted her teeth and put up with it forever.
Azusa just gets fucking corrupted. Yeah, it's literally like all 3 of them are like around her, like, just eat cakes.
I think that was like the straw for me.
Don't worry.
Is that, like Azusa was kind of like my, okay, this is the character that's going to save it, right? Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. The idiot infection spreads.
It's just we're just having fun here. We're just messing around. It's just eating cakes and playing Rock Band. Ain't that nice?
I think that was the other frustration besides the Budokan thing, is having the one character who really seems like she gives a shit.
Yeah,
getting that beaten out of her.
Yeah. That's kind of like
stuff down her throat.
Yeah, I think that's
Don't
ultimately.
have ambition.
That's ultimately, I think, what did it for me was like the final character that gave a shit and just was shown to care so fucking much. Just ground to paste into the idiocy.
It's almost a little. I mean, this is also kind of thinking about it. So it touched on like my freeware ethos, and it touched on my freeware game dev ethos, and it touched on just kind of thinking about Japan in general and Japanese culture and animation and the pressure that children are under.
Yeah.
To be productive, to perform, to prep for school, to pass their exam, to get to a good college, to get this salary job, to do all these things. I think there is an element of where the stupidity and the don't worry about it, we don't need to practice, it's fine, felt like almost kind of subversive, where it's just like, no, we're just gonna chill and it's gonna be fine.
John, you're thinking about K-On!
I know.
Oh no, we're thinking
got there.
K-On!
So it's not that it's like some subversive masterpiece genius thing. It's just like there's enough of a little core there that I liked.
They're true punk. They don't give a shit.
So I'll probably watch season 2 in the movie because I need to watch all the Yamada movies, obviously. That was my anime thoughts.
Proud of you.
Thank you. I'm going to keep watching anime. Anime's great. Right? Anime's so good.
Anime's so good.
I have one other thing.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
3 weeks. But I listened through this. I went on a fucking journey with this. I listened through the entire first season of Dungeons and Daddies, an actual play podcast that is not a BDSM podcast, is the tagline. It is a D&D podcast. It's that good fantasy shit, Polly.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Good. Super here for it.
Yeah.
How much can you lose, Polly, with D&D podcast?
The thing is, I've played D&D. I played with a regular group. I played with a regular D&D group in the mid 2000s, from like 2005 2007. I was in a regular group.
Awesome. I did a one shot with some friends while I was visiting with my family. It was really fun. I'm kind of feeling the bug again. Like 3 years ago was the last time I had like an attempt and it didn't work. And then I was like, oh, I attended 2 sessions and then the DM and one of the players got divorced and I was friends with the player that left. And I was like, oh, welp. Okay. That was fun. And also the DM was lousy. He started the session with like a 10-page thing of lore he told us to read right before the first session.
God, I had that absolutely cursed thought of, hey guys, what if we did a D&D podcast?
Nope.
No.
I don't want to do a
kidding.
I'd love to play a one shot with y'all, maybe. Just sample something. I'd enjoy it. Is that a nope? Or was that a yes?
Let's do Shadowrun instead.
Okay. I'm here for trying whatever games. I played one called the one shot I played was called The Witch is Dead. Mm-hmm. We did it in like 2 minutes of prep to make the characters, and you play as woodland animals that were the familiars of a witch who was horribly murdered by a witch hunter from a local village. And the goal of the game is to get back to the village and kill the witch hunter and steal his eyes and bring them back and put them on the witch's corpse, which will bring her back to life. So you are little woodland animals, and you each have like one very small spell, and your goal is to find a guy and kill him. And it got really violent, because you're just like a rat and an owl or something. So in order to kill a guy, it's always going to be like death of 1,000 cuts. So it just took like 10 minutes. It's really funny. But it's like 2 hours and we had a blast. So that's my thought, is just like those kind of cool one shots. Mm-hmm. And I knew about that game because that was a one shot spinoff on D and Daddies. So this is about 4 dads fall through a portal into the Forgotten Realms and need to rescue their lost sons. Mm-hmm. And one of the dads is played by a lady, which is nice because I'm used to podcasts that are just all dudes. And they're all extremely fucking funny. And the real arc of this is that I listened to a fucking actual play podcast that wasn't the Adventure Zone, and I had a good time, and it's so much fucking better than how bad that show got, y'all. Oh my God. I had such a fucking long arc getting to this point where I would finally try some other podcasts, and I feel so happy to have found one that worked and is good, and it's good in all the ways that Adventure Zone got bad. So 2
questions.
Yeah.
Does this just end at episode 68 part 2?
That's the end of the first season.
Oh, so there is another season. Okay.
It's like 10 episodes into the new season, and the new season is starring like, so the children are in NPCs of the first game who they're rescuing. Mm-hmm. The new campaign is playing as the kids of those kids. So it's basically like a new story, new campaign.
Yeah.
So I'm just putting it down for that, and I'll probably wait until there's more meat.
Cool.
But yeah, I listened through a bunch of Taz season 3, and it was really bleak, y'all. It got real bad.
Yeah. And that was my other question, is when you're bitching about Taz, how much of that also applies to Balance?
More than I'm comfort, more than
okay. Because that being the only one I'm familiar with, I was like, a lot of this still applied to that original arc. We just forgave it back then.
Yep. So the thing is that Balance started off with them mostly making jokes and having a good time, and they slowly built up the characters while having a bunch of jokes, and then they built up to cite some big emotional beats, and they landed really hard because you weren't expecting them, and they came organically. And then they started being a little more scripted and a little more, all right, we got to hit these big emotional beats. And they started telling fewer jokes, and it got a little more railroaded. And then the second season just started off with that. Yeah. Like, okay, we're going to hit the big emotional beats. We're going to make it so that everybody wants to draw fan art of our characters and cosplay as them. And jokes, what are those? And it just kept in that. I think that's kind of the trajectory it went on. I think they kind of got victim of their own success there.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share that I actually listened to different podcasts
and it stayed by the jokes
for the first time in 6 years. And I was very rewarded for it. Yeah, right.
And it stayed about jokes the whole time, mostly?
It stayed funny the whole fucking time. They started having some story moments. They had one extended flashback to one character's tragic backstory. It was one episode. The tragic, and it was very good and kind of real. The tragic backstory extended flashback arc in Taz was like 8 episodes, and it was right before the finale. So it hit me better. And the whole finale is extremely gamified, we are setting up these 2 opposing forces, and I'm going to let you take turns to build up these resources, but that means that these characters get turns to build these resources, and it's all going to come into play during the final battle, and then it does. And the final 2 episodes is one long combat that's really satisfying. They played the game the whole time. They kept making the dice drive the story instead of... There are major points in that podcast where if the dice had gone in a slightly different way, the entire trajectory of the rest of the show would have changed, which wasn't Taz, was never Taz.
Yeah.
Like they rolled a natural 1 at the end of the 3rd arc of Taz when the character was going to pick up the all-consuming Doom artifact that tries to tempt people to destroy the world. Yeah. And then Griffin was just like brushed it off like, oh, don't worry, your friend takes it from you. It's fine. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Dice don't matter. It's the fun story time hour. Oh wait, you aren't writers. You're comedians. Sorry. So I needed to evacuate that bit of angst. Yeah. So I'm having a very good time with that. And you know what I'm going to do now? I'm not going to get extremely parasocially invested in all the people in Dungeons and Daddies. I'm going to discard them and then go find a new podcast to listen to.
Don't look them up. Stay away from their social medias. I'm
not going to follow them on Twitter. I don't give a shit. They entertain me. That's all they exist for in my life. They're nothing besides that. They're nothing but people that make me laugh. So be gone. I'm moving on to the next thing. So that's my segment. Rhett.
Okay.
What have you been up to?
So the big one.
Oh,
hell yeah.
Boy. Here we go.
Paulie knows what's coming.
Let's go.
So the next game I plan to play coming out release-wise was Eye of the Somnium Files 2, which is end of June.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, got about a month. What can fit into a month? So the Yakuza games, they have that spin-off called Judgment, the beat 'em up, and they made a sequel called Lost Judgment.
Yeah.
And that's not on PC.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Except if you play on Amazon Cloud Luna service.
That would be real fun, I bet.
So I signed up for the 7-day free trial and was immediately in the world of Lost Judgment, the sequel.
Uh-huh.
So I watched the opening cutscene. I'm like, okay, this looks really good. I'm very impressed. The menus are snappy. It looks pretty good. And then I got into the game.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
And I touched the right stick to move the camera. And then the camera moved.
Ooh. Uh-oh.
Okay, it wasn't actually that long, but it was like enough of a delay to almost immediately make me like, whoa, that's not gonna play. I like bailed so quickly.
Oh, man.
It's just
brutal.
Cloud gaming. Like, again, I have a good PC, but this game just isn't on PC, which is unfortunate because of fucking actor contractual reasons.
Yeah. That'll never be on PC because the company that represents this dude is notoriously litigious. Like, they would literally sue the pants off of anybody that did any kind of mod. Like, they are ridiculous.
Weird.
Yeah, so the only way to play it is through Amazon Cloud so that you can't mod. It's just a video feed.
Yeah.
But it was a shame. Cloud gaming, even with a good connection, it's just...
The Game Pass stuff, I've heard good stuff about the Game Pass stuff, and even Taylor in chat says that it works better than that, so...
Yeah, I thought Game Pass was just actual downloads.
It is, but there is a streaming component.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I think for an action game, like, there's stuff like, ironically, Trails of Cold Steel 3 is also on Amazon Luna.
Oh, hey!
All the NISA localized Falcom stuff is on there.
Yeah.
Do you want to play Ease 8 with a little bit of lag?
Not particular. I mean, I'd just buy the Switch version then.
Ooh. So yeah, after that was a bust, I immediately broke the emerging.
Come on. Broke the emergency glass.
And started Cold Steel 3.
Yes.
The game that would definitely last exactly a month.
Oh, yeah. Gonna totally last a month.
Because this is so I was like, okay, if this game's 100 hours long, all I got to do is play like 2 hours a day.
There you go. Easy peasy.
2 or 3 hours a day for 50 days. I'll get through it. And then, these games, they start pretty slow. So at the very start, it's like, okay, I might not be hitting that 2 hours a day. Then immediately, there was an entire weekend. Oh, there was an entire 3-day weekend.
Everything in the story is happening and it's not stopping happening.
Yeah, this one just fucking goes. It hits the gas faster than any other Trails game.
Yeah,
I think.
even faster than Owl. And Owl like hits the ground running pretty hard.
Maybe Cold Steel 2 also.
Yeah, Cold Steel 2's got a pretty fast opening, yeah.
Because of how that previous game ends. So this one's weird because I haven't finished it. I'm pretty far in, but not even like final chapter far. These are beefy fucking chapters. Like
big chonkers, yeah.
So I have like 89 hours on Steam. I'm at the start of chapter 4. So I was thinking like each chapter feels like a Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, they're big. There's so much they have to cover.
It's like the structure and the repetition is very similar to Cold Steel 1, but the individual chapters are so much bigger and more convoluted, and you're doing so much more that like the parts where you go back to the school and chill for a bit are like actually this welcome reprieve now instead of like half the game.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I need a fucking hour to just chill from what the hell just happened every time. Like, oh my God.
It is a game of large events.
Yeah. So this one feels weird because for the most part, these games have gone in kind of pairs where you have the setup game and the payoff game.
Yeah.
Like first chapter ends with big cliffhanger and then second chapter.
Yeah.
And then there's third, which is also kind of the oddball one so far. So I kind of skip over that. But that one also mostly focuses on Kevin, like his personal story. It's kind of a one-off while also being a send-off to the Sky characters. And then there's Zero Now, which is another, duology that doesn't have the giant cliffhanger in the middle. That's the one nice thing about Zero is does not sequel bait you and make you scream.
Yeah, it gives you the catharsis you want.
Yeah. And then there's Cold Steel 1 and 2, which, again, is very similar to first chapter, second chapter, where you will be screaming at your television at the end of first chapter, at the end of Cold Steel 1. Just the most brutal cliffhanger I've ever seen. And then Cold Steel 3 happens, and you're playing as old Reen Schwarzer again.
Yeah.
And it's weird having, like, third game with the same protagonist in a row.
They don't do that.
Which you haven't really done before because of how third kind of sidestepped at, even though Estelle and Joshua were still around. So the main name of the franchise is Legend of Heroes.
Yes.
And you've always got these like near mythological characters that you look up to. And I noticed that it's kind of a trend where in Sky, it's Cassius Bright, who is a practitioner of the 8 Leaves, 1 Blade style. Yep. And then in Zero and Now, it's Arios McLean, who is also a practitioner of that
same sword style.
That same sword style.
I better say that Reen does 8 Leaves, 1 Blade.
Hey, guess what? Reen is an intermediate level of 8 Leaves, 1 Blade. So I think what's interesting about this one is that because it is third game in a franchise, because of how Cold Steel 2 went, Reen is that hero now.
Yeah.
And like he is a national hero, and the game never lets up on that. And I don't even mean in a bad way. Just every character you meet is like, oh.
Well, if it isn't Reen Schwarzer, the Ashen Chevalier.
Yeah, everybody in the country knows his cool Trails nickname of Ashen Chevalier now.
Can you imagine how exhausting it's finally showing you how exhausting it would be to be Cassius Bright?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what's interesting is that like you've always had these characters that are like larger than life and these big heroes, and now you're in that role. And, a lot of the other characters are also like, how do I word this? Like characters that have gone through the JRPG and came out as a hero.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have the new characters who are looking up to you as this hero, of things that have happened.
Well, one of them may not see as much of a hero. She's got a bit of a chip on her shoulder. I mean, for good reason.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's the character Ash who just thinks this guy is hilarious.
Yeah.
he recognizes the comedy of the JRPG.
Yeah, I love Ash. He is fantastic.
He's just like, this guy's life is a riot.
He is the guy laughing at all of these people greeting each other with their stupid anime names, and he's just like, y'all are just fucking stupid. He is like, awesome. He is an unsung hero of Cold Steel 3.
He's a real one in a world of heroes and JRPG tropes.
Yeah, and he's just so like not here for any of it.
A world where legends become reality, and he's just like, I got built. I don't know. I'm just a kid in school,
pay, man. I just want to get through school, man. I don't give a fuck.
The other thing about Cold Steel 3 is that it feels like everything's finally coming together.
Oh yeah,
where you had the Sky games, which are. Everything came together in there because it was the first one, and then the Crossbell games, which were pretty largely disconnected.
Yeah.
And then Cold Steel 1 and 2, which take place at the same time as the Crossbell games. They don't really directly influence each other, besides just like, hey, I heard some shit's going down in other country right now in both those games. So finally, Cold Steel 3 is the one that advances the timeline, and then you start meeting characters from the other franchises.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fan service.
Oh yeah. Like when some of those older characters walk in, they get the dramatic 3D pan up. And you're just like, yes.
Everybody gets the pan up. Every the number of times this game is like, now stand for applause. Character is back.
Yes.
But again, like for me, being the rare, English fan that has gotten to actually play them in order.
Yep.
Boy, it's all hitting real friggin' good.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Because like the way I didn't get spoiled on. That's the other thing is like they drop any pretense of like not talking about what has happened in previous games.
They're not sugarcoating or talking around anything or like calling something like the incident or that thing that happened. No, they're just telling you straight up, this is the thing that happened.
Yeah, previous games will always be like, oh, and that thing that happened in Liberal a few months ago. This one is just like, here is, exactly what happened.
Let's talk about the orbital shutdown phenomenon.
They talk about that. They talk about exactly like who the villains are
in
Crossbell were.
There's no holding back at this point.
It's extremely specific, and the fact that they were like, Nisa was like, it's a good one to start with is like,
no. Look, just because you put that little menu at the start of the game that briefly summarizes the games that came before it, Nisa, what are you doing? Stop it. You're a clown. Stop it.
I mean, I'm so glad that somebody picked up the localization after Xseed.
Absolutely. Like, we were worried to death when we knew that, like, that Xseed was no longer working with Falcom. Like, it was a very tenuous year and a half until they finally announced it. Again, nothing compared to the 5 years Iffy waited for SC, but I now have a taste of that. Like, is this ever going to happen? Like, this may actually never happen.
It was real touch and go for a while there, but it's just such a funny game for them to pick up with because of the mountain of references and callbacks.
That's why they had to bring aboard all of Xseed's like people that were keeping all that lore straight, so that it would be in the game and make sense and consistent with the previous games released by Xseed.
There's even like very specific nicknames that are consistent with the cross-spelled fan translations.
Yeah.
And I don't, if they were using like, they might have gone and read through like the current fan translations that were existed at that time. Because the Geofront one was not out yet.
No.
But the fact that everything still lines up like almost exactly. There's one nickname that I'm like, I don't remember that, but okay. I will forgive one single line of dialogue in the entire game so far feeling a little off.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game, it just, the combat, they have changed the combat enough to make it fun again.
Yeah.
For the first few chapters, then I kind of broke it again.
Yeah, like battle orders are entirely fucking broken. Like you can bend that game over your knee without ever needing to pimp your characters out all that much with just battle orders.
So the vibe of this one gave me kind of Valkyria Chronicles vibes because of the school setting. It's military school again.
Yeah.
And you've got this ragtag group. They're kind of the B squad.
Yeah.
Which is also very how Valkyria Chronicles felt like. It's just we're putting together a local army of any kids that want to fight.
Yeah.
And then the orders thing is also they have orders in a similar style in Valkyria Chronicles where it's like, hey, everybody does 20% more damage for these turns.
Yeah.
And also both games have like the cool black-haired sniper girl that doesn't talk much. Like sometimes these tropes are a little on the nose, guys.
A little bit.
The other thing is that enemies don't just have HP anymore. They have the guard meter.
Yep.
It's very similar to Neptunia Rebirth 1.
Oh, yeah. It functions the same way, basically.
So when you guard break an enemy, they'll be stunned for a few turns. And
they always take critical damage.
Yeah, you get, more battle points when you hit them with a normal attack, and it's kind of a rush to do as much damage as possible before they recover.
Yeah.
But the enemies, some of the bosses towards the start, they are fucking vicious.
They're real mean, yeah.
They will start healing every turn if they're not broken, which is just like, oh my God, what is happening? Like, I've had fights just spiral out of control because I dumped all my resources. I've dumped all my resources to when an enemy was broken and then failed to kill them.
Yeah.
And they just immediately restore guard, go berserk mode, heal like 20,000 HP. And I'm just like, oh, the fight just started over and I have no resources.
Cold Steel 3 is real bad with that, especially in the opening, especially when you're starting out. Like, the balance feels a little off.
I mean, I'm playing on hard mode, so I'm not going to bitch about it being hard. It was just I felt like I had started to lose a handle on what was happening. Like, I went back and reread the tutorials because I'm like, oh, this guard thing is important, huh?
Yeah,
I need to actually understand, because by default you don't do more damage when an enemy is guard broken. It's just to stun them.
Yeah,
and then you do start getting quartz that are like, hey, do double damage when its enemy's stunned, which is like, now
need to be doing that. Yeah,
need that shit. They nerfed the hell out of S-Crasts.
Oh yeah, they're not going to be wiping. They're not going to be doing like the 6 digits that you were expecting.
Yeah. So that was my other problem, is like I would guard break an enemy and then immediately have everybody pop their S-Craft, and
it's not enough.
It's not enough, and now everybody has a huge delay, and I'm like, but yeah, the order system really starts to just destroy things later on when it's like, oh, this order does, for a few turns, everybody does 3 times break damage.
Yeah, like some of them are very silly.
I've noticed some characters have the accelerate one that pulls all other party members up in the turn order.
Yep.
If you do that when an enemy is broken, and then get those points back by attacking some more, I think there's one character, I forget who, has a 3 cost one. It's just like, oh, you could just keep looping it forever.
Yeah, I am pretty sure there are a lot of easy ways to stun lock certain bosses.
Yeah. I had a certain fight. I was stun locking them and like getting like 2 rotations out. And eventually they just go, anyways, my guard isn't broken anymore. You've done like 10 turns of normal attacks.
You can't do this. There's a limit and the game has had it.
Yeah, the game just actually said, oh, they're fine now. Like they just moved ahead in the return order. I was just like, okay, that's fair.
That's probably fair.
There's another order that is 0 cast spells for 6 turns.
Yep.
And then you stack that with really putting a lot of speed on a mage, and then having them do quartz that are like half recovery time after a spell.
After the
zero cast time, half recovery time. I've had characters like my mages doing like 2 recovery on a big spell.
Yep.
So like I pop that and they just attack like 5 times in a row. And it's like, oh, also gain EP back on magic.
Yeah, it's very fucking silly.
So it's just like big full screen attack, big full screen, big just the enemies broke.
They pull those back a little in CS4, so
yeah,
that gets nerfed a bit.
It's funny just finding, how can I break it today? It's like,
it was a load of fun finding ways to use not only like, quartz setups and accessories, but also, what can I do with these battle orders now to just make this game cry?
There's just so much stuff that you look at and go, that seems broken.
Well, like, I mean, that's Cold Steel's calling card, is like, everybody is good.
Yeah. I think kind of after Elden Ring, I kind of get it, or like have a mood now of like, being strong in a video game that's supposed to be hard is fun.
It is.
Like, it makes you feel like the badass certain characters in these series has been built up as. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to fight this living legend and win. What do you want to do about it? I've got 700% damage criticals.
I want to thank Maribel for the raid, by the way. Welcome, everybody. We're doing a podcast. We hope you enjoy.
So Polly will know I have no idea where the greater story is going here. I've been throwing out theories.
You got, like, this boy got Cold Steel 3 theories, and I'm just kind of sitting back and enjoying it because I already know the story for Cold Steel 3 and 4, so.
Yeah, Polly's not, like, leading me on or anything. I was just like, okay, I'm going to throw out, like, 3 theories here that don't, like, they completely contradict each other.
Yeah.
Because I got nothing. It's just like, oh, stuff is spinning. Why are those here again? How does this connect to why how does this connect to Azure again? Like, boy, a lot's going on, and everybody's here.
This is a story that by the time me, Iffy, and After 5 had finished Cold Steel 4, I think the DM conversation we had just about that game and what the implications were for the rest of the series, that DM conversation lasted like 4 days straight.
Oh my god.
There's a lot.
I'm not thinking about Cold Steel 4 right now because I don't own that one yet. I haven't bought it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's not the next game I'm playing. I'm playing Somnium Files 2 and then Xenoblade 3 after this.
Yeah, you got there's a packed summer coming up.
The summer of JRPG.
It really, like, this summer has got such good stuff on the plate, man. You've got the Somnium Files coming out at the end of this month. You've got Xenoblade 3, Soul Hackers 2, you're getting the Western release of Trails to Zero in September. Right. I'm going to play that. I'm going to buy and play that. Despite the fact that I've already played it, I just kind of feel like a cross-bell refresher wouldn't hurt.
You played the PSP version too, right?
Yeah, I played the PSP version, so I'm actually kind of eager to. I'm actually eager to kind of play the Switch version. I'm just gonna get on the Switch because I like RPGs in portable mode now.
Switch. Yeah. If that port is
the Live Alive remake is coming out, like there's so much.
Video games are good.
The PC version of Crossbell that I played was so crisp and good looking.
Yeah, I played the PSP one, and I kind of wish I would have waited a little bit because it was kind of just it doesn't look super great. It doesn't perform super great. I didn't have turbo. And
you had the older, jankier translation.
Yeah, but it asked if I wanted to go to a jizz bar.
Oof.
Oh, I don't know how they missed that one.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, it's a Star Wars reference.
Yeah, exactly. God damn it.
I mean, yeah, I understand not waiting for those though, because
I was in the midst of, I was careening headfirst into Trails of Cold Steel 3 coming out. And it's like, okay, I need to know what's going on here. Like, this is like, if you can play like all the way up to Cold Steel 2 without 100% being in the know about Crossbell. Yeah. But once you hit Cold Steel 3, like, nah, you need Crossbell.
There's just things they tell you that are just, oh, okay, you're just open this is the game that goes open spoilers.
Yep.
Open spoilers on entire Trails franchise up until this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Polly will know, there's big second chapter stuff in here as well, which is
boy.
There's a big third reference. I'm just like, wow, they're really just playing the favorites, I guess.
Bringing out the greatest hits, but they're greatest hits for a reason.
Yeah.
I just remember when Estelle first shows up in Zero, and it literally is like, oh, there's some new bracer requested. It's like from off screen, and she walks in. You can just hear the studio like, yay!
It's great.
It is great.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? It is great.
It is great. It's Falcom. They do no wrong.
It's Falcom.
Falcom don't fucking miss.
I remember I made a joke where if Sonic Team was Falcom, we would just have 12 boost Sonics, and like 2 of them would be complete masterpieces, and 3 of them would be really good, and 6 of them would be pretty good, and 1 of them would be like, it's fine.
It's fine.
None of them would be bad.
Okay, Fazanadu. Okay, maybe I'll give you Fazanadu. Fazanadu is kind of.
Was that even? I think that was Hudson.
Yeah, I think that might have actually been Hudson. It's called Fazanadu because it's Famicom Xanadu, by the way.
Because it's fake Xanadu.
Fake Xanadu. There you go.
Yeah, it's Hudson. That's like blaming them for ES4.
I'm like I want Rhett to just have nothing but time to play Cold Steel 3 from like this moment on. Knowing where he's at in the story is just like, I just want him to be playing that all the time and reacting.
I mean, what does my Steam say? I have 88.5 hours.
Yeah.
Since the last podcast, I've pretty much only been doing this.
That's pretty much about all you've been doing. Yeah.
Like I had like a few hours of Star Wars to finish up and then immediately dived into this.
Right.
That's really fucking funny.
Obviously,
well, you know what? It's very fun to keep up with these long running RPG series with a ton of like story going from game to game.
Yeah. I think that's the thing where it's like, this is the one where, because it's so highly referential and connected to the others, where they stop feeling like individual games at this point, and it's just, here's Legend of Heroes number 8.
Here's another part of the quilt, basically.
Yeah. Here's another adventure with Reen.
Yep.
Your boy.
Yeah, boy, Reen.
Nah, I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
He's very similar to Lloyd.
He is, yeah. Like he's definitely of that similar archetype.
Yeah. Just the way, like,
Lloyd's less, I don't know. Yeah. There's something like where Lloyd feels more grounded to me than Reen.
Mm-hmm. I love Lloyd.
Lloyd is great. I just think, like, I don't expect them to make the same game over and over, obviously. But I think the Sky trilogy, or even the first two specifically, are so much stronger because of that love story.
Yeah.
And how the games after that have just kind of been like, and you play as a guy and can kind of flirt with any girl you want. The girl.
Yeah, that's something that I really disliked about Cold Steel and the Crossbow games, is like, I wish that like they could have just been stories that had a set love interest and told a good love story around this stuff, because there are so many characters in Cold Steel that work really well as a love interest if you wanted to write it that way. Like even the non-obvious ones, like obviously the obvious one I think that's basically headcanon for Falcom is obviously Elisa. Like that's who they would want, and you could write a great story around that. But I think that there are so many other characters that you could like do a very cool story with if you did something more structured and not just like player wish fulfillment, I guess.
Yeah. It's like you literally get a menu at the end of girls you have like, or anybody, I guess, with that you have like the max bond rating with, and get one scene with them, and it's like, okay, cool.
Like this is the lock in, you're dating them now kind of thing.
And then Cold Steel 3 doesn't import those choices,
so it kind of starts over.
So you meet, well, Elisa gives you a big hug when you meet her in this one,
and like even though you didn't
even though she was the one I totally barely talked to in Cold Steel 1 and 2.
I got that big old same.
I was just like, oh, you're pretty touchy all of a sudden.
Boy, you're being all up in my personal space in a way that makes me a little uncomfortable, ma'am.
So it's like, it does have a few like kind of bumpy transitions like that.
Yeah. It's like they obviously want that to be the main pick, and like the story kind of like, it breaks the illusion when like you've obviously taken somebody else's story much farther than you would have taken hers, but they kind of like push her in your face anyway.
Yeah.
How did she compare with Ellie? Wifey for lifey? Nothing.
I ditched the true protagonist love interest.
Yeah, like
I didn't do Ellie either in Crossbow.
I didn't do Ellie either.
Every possible choice I had to pick Ellie, I picked Ellie.
Yeah, I didn't
love her.
I didn't get.
I love her in real life.
Man.
Sorry. It just welled up out of me.
I love it.
Talking about, God, I fucking loved Ellie. They should make another game with Ellie.
Maybe they will someday, John. Maybe they will.
Maybe you have another one that you haven't played yet.
I know. I'm just saying I really want to play like some long RPG series with like a big syndicated story. Maybe I can pick up the next entry in the Trail series.
Maybe someday.
Yeah.
Maybe next year when it comes out.
Xenosaga episode 2. Let's go.
Do y'all have the fan translation of 2 of AO, the good one?
I might have it hanging around.
I actually think I pulled those from Geofront's website before they took them down.
If either of you have them on hand, I would very much like to have those available.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of having to definitely wait until 2023.
Yeah,
because I'm starting to get the itch.
Getting that itch. Gotcha. Right.
So yeah, Cold Steel 3 will continue for a bit, and then
by the next time we're here, you're going to be screaming about it. I will guarantee you that.
Yep. And then I won't know what to scream because I'll have already exhausted my lungs to you and Iffy.
I don't know. We screamed about that game for quite a while too when it finished. We were just kind of like, what the that's one of those games where it was 4 a.m. when I was finishing it, and I was literally screaming at my TV, what the fuck?
With the theories I've had, I'm just like, is one of them right? Because there's kind of a general direction I'm still thinking that it's going to go, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
They're introducing more stuff where I'm at, and it's just like, okay, what? Everyone is here.
It's like everybody's here. Something's got to pop off.
Oh, yeah. Anyways. Polly.
Hey,
you got anything to close us out with?
I got some things. A visual novel that I kickstarted last year finally came out, and I've been dinking around with that. I'm not going to go too far into it. I haven't finished it, and despite what Steam people would tell you, like I am 8 hours into it, and I'm still in Act 1. So how people are finishing it in 3 hours, I wonder how they're doing that. It's a game called Corpse Factory.
This started as you streaming the demo.
Yes, this is one of those things where I streamed the demo blind and was just, this feels really cool. But it's a story that's kind of similar to Jigoku Shoujo, Hellgirl. If you remember, that's the show where you go to a website, plug somebody's name in, they die, but you also go to hell afterward. Corpse Factory takes that idea, and I can see how on the surface it might seem like a ripoff, but when you understand the nature of how that works in this story, it's like, oh no, this is actually something a lot more grounded and a little more terrifying than that.
More terrifying than going to hell.
It's terrifying because it's just like the way that it's approached is very, very, it's grounded in reality and very cool. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to spoil what exactly the point is, but yeah, we're playing that. We're streaming that. I'm streaming it blind, so it's just kind of like we're going for the ride together, and it's, we've reached the point to where it's becoming a pretty emotional. It's starting to get real, like, but we got characters weaving some webs. We've got some shit going on that's kind of like had us stop in our tracks a few times and just have to scream, what the fuck, at the monitor. But this is completely satisfying me so far. I'm absolutely happy to, with the money that I put into kickstarting it, because it just felt like a solid vision, and I'm already satisfied. Got a good feeling that this author is going to stick the landing because the writing's just really good so far. So, but other than that, I didn't play anything that was too dark and too involving. I went a little more lighthearted because it was like, man, everything sucks right now. I sure could use something that maybe put a little smile on my face instead. I feel that. I played through Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair.
Oh, right.
Yeah, like I never played the original Yooka-Laylee because I think that Banjo-Kazooie is one of the most intensely boring collect 'em ups I've ever played in my life. And I knew that game was mostly kind of mapped out to basically just be a legally distinct Banjo-Kazooie 3. So I just never played that one, but then Rhett talked about the Impossible Lair, I think probably sometime last year or so, or maybe the year before. It's hard to say at this point.
No, I remember. It was like April 2020.
Oh, like right when we were going in.
I think I played it during like the layoffs that happened.
Yeah, so. But this one jumped out at me because the premise was just really cool at first. Like the idea of like, there's this 25 to 30 minute level that you can challenge at any time, and it's comprised of the toughest possible like timing and platforming challenges that they can possibly throw at you, and you spend the game basically collecting bees from every level, like that, like basically serve as shield and hit points to get through it. And it was just like, that sounds like a really cool idea. Like you could have a lot of fun with just that base idea. I mean, just the idea of like an impossible level, this big level that's just like, you go in the first time and you're just like, this is the most fucked up thing I've tried. What is this shit? This is impossible.
Isn't it like literally the first level too? It's like right at the start.
Yeah, like they start you right out. And it's like, Jesus Christ. So the main game, like it's kind of like just your typical like hop and bop platformer with like some fun rolling into enemies mechanics. Like a lot of this shit is really kind of just ripped straight from Donkey Kong Country. Like,
yeah,
you can't, like, let's not even beat around the bush. Like this game lives entirely on being a derivative of Donkey Kong Country. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I
like Donkey Kong Country.
I like Donkey Kong Country. The only real difference, I think, between this game and recent, and especially the recent DKC games with Returns and, what was that, Tropical Freeze? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Is that this game is like, this game is lighter, and like it's also tighter. Whereas like this is a game where you can and will be required to do things like stop on a fucking dime and do things very precise. Whereas Donkey Kong Country games, they're very weighty. They got like a lot of momentum behind them. Whereas like this game's really kind of like arcadey and tight, and it's got like a it definitely is a feeling. I prefer how this game feels to at least Tropical, or at least Frozen. What was it? Tropical Freeze.
Yeah, I think that's the
one.
I
borrowed it from somebody just to kind of. I borrowed it from somebody to kind of like compare. Because I was on my way to finishing this, and I was like, maybe I want to feel more of this, so I borrowed Tropical Freeze off of somebody, and I've kind of like been playing around with that a little bit, and it's just like, oh, like, yeah, this is like way heavier, and it feels a little weird coming off of this one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like this one's just like real snappy, but like I think that like DKC, like you need to have a little more forethought with the way you're moving through levels and stuff. And the thing with this game, and I think that's the thing that continued to surprise me from start to finish, is I think like the level designs are just super top notch. Like, this is not like, it doesn't have as many like fancy gimmicks or like crazy like fun like camera tricks and stuff that the new DKC games do. It doesn't have a lot of like gimmicks or any kind of like mountables, things like that. But I think like the Impossible Lair like has a small set of mechanics where like it takes the mechanics that it does have and it wrings so many gameplay deviations out of them, but by the time you get to the end of the game, you look at all these mechanics and like, yeah, like there's literally nothing else you could have done with these tools that you have. The levels just continue to surprise me with like how clever they were from start to finish, really. Like, just really super good, like level design, like that back and forth hop and bop kind of thing, like yeah. And basically I think like what I like is that like it's a game where the idea is that it's on the back of the level designs themselves to adequately kind of like train you and build you up to having the skills and the know-how, so that when you see like the tricks and the traps in the last level of the game, you know what to do. You may not be able to execute it the first time, but you will never look at something when you get there and be like, I don't know what I need to do there, because the level designs in this game just like like the difficulty curve is, it's one of the most consistent that I've experienced in one of these games, I think. Like in this game, that just kind of like it builds to that climax in a way so that when you finally enter the Impossible Lair, it's like it will kick your ass, but you will adapt very quickly to the things that you need to do, because it's using familiar language without having to just like repeat without having to repeat the same set pieces or something, or just making you go through a greatest hits. It's just like, no, we've created the hardest fucking possible version of these challenges. And you will know how to do them by the time you get here, because we have trained you to do it. And I think that that's my favorite part of the game, is that like you feel yourself get progressively better. You feel yourself get progressively confident in the way that you approach even the normal levels. Because like when I started playing this game, like I think this game actually starts out a bit harder than your typical Mario or DKC fare. And I started out, I was kind of just walking everywhere, you know, taking it a little slow. But, like, by the time I got, like, 8 levels in, I'm fucking rolling everywhere. I'm high jumping off of every enemy I can. Like, I'm trying to do everything as, like, fucking silly and crazy as I possibly can. Like, I'm that person that, like, I'm going to stop and get the extra feathers in the stage because, yeah, it's just like a 10, 15 second little detour and it's not necessary, but it's like, I want to do that because it feels like I'm doing something cool with these skills that I'm continuously getting better at by, like, playing as dangerously as possible. And I think that, like, that really feels good taking that vibe into the final level. And, like, I only needed, like, I think I only failed the impossible air, like, 4 times. And I finished the game with like 2 Bs, I think. So it's still fucking hard. Even when you know it, it's still fucking hard. And man, oh man, does that game got a climax. It feels real fucking good.
Oh yeah, the climax is so good.
I got to the end of this game and I was like, you know, you're fighting the final boss, you're having that moment, and then you hit another moment. It's just like my heart literally jumped out of my chest. I paused the game and just like sent Rhett a message to me like, oh, we're fucking doing this, huh? And it's like, oh my God, for like the next 2 or 3 minutes, my heart's just pounding out of my fucking chest, and I'm just like, go, 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 go. And you're utilizing the most fundamental skills at this point that the game has taught you, and you've just gotta be good at it. And then, like, you do it, and it feels so good.
You sent me that message at work, and then for like the next 5 minutes, I'm just like, okay,
please don't fail.
My favorite part of the game is either gonna land for her, or I'm gonna get a message. I died. Have to redo the entire layer. Fuck this.
They give you checkpoints throughout. Like, so you can, like, so you get to, like, you clear one area after, like, one of the mini boss fights, and then, like, if you die, you can continue from that area right after the mini boss with the number of Bs that you had at that point. So you could, like, feasibly go back to that first checkpoint, redo it, and then come back and be like, oh, okay, now I have more Bs going. Like, you could do it like that, but I didn't want to do it like that. I did it the hard way. Like,
did they add that in after the fact?
I think that might have been added.
Okay. They added that almost like 2 days after I beat it.
Oh, okay, that's what I remember. I thought I remember there being something like that. That's funny.
I looked it up and I found an article from April 9th, 2020. And I had just said I played it April 2020.
Yeah.
I did not have checkpoints available.
Yeah.
When I played it. I was just like, oh, they made the best part easier.
I didn't like. I saw it and it was just like, I don't like, because when I got to the end of the game, when I got to the end of the game, it was like 22 hours or so, and I was like, I kind of had a bit of enough of this kind of gameplay, but I was just like, I don't want to ruin this. Like, I could take this, I could, you know, do these checkpoints and just get better and better and give myself a bunch of Bs to go into the final part of the game. But I was like, I don't really like that. It just didn't feel good, so I'm glad
it's not like completely shoved in your face.
Yeah, it's not like you have to actually like, you know, like it's not something you can accidentally do, and they kind of make like, are you sure you want to use checkpoints?
They have a message that's like, no, this is not the way that we really intended this game to be played.
Really?
No, it just says like, do you want to do this with checkpoints or no?
Yeah. I looked in my diary. I finished the game March 27th, 2020, and then April 9th.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's pretty fucking close to the wire.
Yeah.
They added those checkpoints in. So the thing about this game is that you have the HP for the final level, the B shield.
Yeah.
Literally just a bunch of Bs. In the normal game, though, when you get hit and your bat partner flies away,
God,
you can grab it again to kind of get that hit point back.
She's so erratic, I could never get her back.
So when I beat the final level, the impossible lair, I had 0 Bs because for that entire last part.
Oh my God.
I was grabbing the bat over and over like 10 times. I managed to do it. It was divine.
Oh, that's fucking crazy. God, I had so many problems getting Laylee back. Like, I just, like, there was a certain point where I was just like, fuck it, I'm not even trying. If I get hit, fuck her. I don't care.
If there is some specific, like, make the AI a little more forgiving in the impossible lair that activated, sure. because like during that last part, it was like, oh, I'm screwed. I got her back. I can't believe it.
That shocks me that you got her because her
so
timer
crazy.
Her timer like gets more strict every time you drop her. So like when you drop her, like that timer gets like cut by a fourth and then by a third, and then so it just like by the time you've dropped her like 4 or 5 times, she's just immediately gone.
That's pretty much what was happening.
Oh, that's crazy.
I don't know how I finished it.
That's awesome. That sounds like an amazing.
And it was pre-checkpoint where there was no option.
Yeah, like you'd have to just do that last 28 minutes all over again. The impossible layer is good as fuck. I didn't like the ice portion. I think it drags on way too long, and I think it is way too hard. But that's my only complaint about it. Like, other than that, like I felt like this game's difficulty curve and like most of the stuff that it asks of you is pretty fair. I think that the placement of some of the hidden twit coins is kind of bullshit and not telegraphed very well. But you only need like 60 to finish the game, so it's not a big deal. And there's 200, so
oof.
There's 5 in every level, and there's basically 40 levels. So.
Oh right.
But
I forgot the name Twit Coin.
Yeah, it's like it stands for like trouser. It's got something to do. He's a snake that wears pants, and he's named a trouser snake.
I forgot about the very British humor in this.
This game's got great. Yeah, I loved it. I fucking loved. There are so many moments of actual humor in this game that I just like. Did you help Trouser finish his house?
I don't remember. Is that the 4th tonic slot?
Yeah.
That's
great. That's a great gag where you can equip 3 tonics normally, which are just little gameplay boosts that help you out a little bit. And when you finish Trouser's side quest, he gives you a 4th tonic slot. But the only way you can get the 4th tonic slot is by equipping the tonic to do it. You also burn his house down.
Yeah.
He orders a grill and it sets his house on fire. That's how you open the last set of levels.
That's so choice.
The overworld stuff is really fun.
Okay. The overworld is basically where this game shits on every single Mario or Donkey Kong Country game with an overworld in the last 15 to 20 years.
Yeah.
Because this overworld is its own, like, big and really cleverly thought out little adventure with, like, puzzles that you can figure out to unlock the second version of every level. So every level in the game has a second version that you use the overworld to unlock, and it feels genuinely rewarding because it feels genuinely rewarding and fun to engage with because like the alternate versions of the levels aren't just like, oh, it's reversed now, or like the enemies have another hit point or something. Like it's an entirely new level with like that's kind of like a remix of the design and gimmicks, but they're completely reimagined and recontextualized. So there's like 20 levels, but there's like 40 now. Ba-bam! Yeah. And like they're all like really fucking cool and clever. Like they get a lot of use out of their assets with this game, and it's just like, yeah, it's super fucking smart. And there's like secret bees that you can find playing around in the overworld. There are secret exits in some of the levels that'll take you to parts of the overworld where you can't normally get to. And it's just like the overworld being something other than just a level select.
Yeah.
It took me because I don't even remember if Rhett mentioned this, like when he talked about it. Because
I don't remember anything from 2020.
Yeah, big fucking understandable. But yeah, it completely caught me off guard with how involved all of the overworld stuff was. I was not expecting it to be anything but a glorified way for them to get their humor in, to get all their NPCs out, to have fun telling jokes.
And that would have been fine if it was like this funny diversion.
Yeah, because like the writing is genuinely pretty funny in this game.
Yeah. But it is like this little game into itself, like how to unlock the other stuff.
Yeah, like it all feeds into it. Like it's very like it's maybe not as precise and concise and perfectly fit together as something like East 8, where all the systems fit and they all kind of mean something to one another. But this game is very similar to that, and like a lot of the systems play into each other, and everything kind of feels like it feeds everything. Like the only time that it doesn't is that you can't use tonics in the impossible lair. Like that's kind of like the only, so like you can use tonics and stuff like on every other part of the game, but like you can't in the impossible lair. So that kind of is like the one kind of weird disconnect where it's just like, well, okay. I mean, it's fine. It's not a big deal at all. I don't think tonics are needed at all for the most part. I just think some of them are really great, like the one that lets you collect the feathers without having to get close to them. But yeah, like this game, God, this is one of the best platformers I've played in a long day. This is probably the best platformer I've played since probably Celeste.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, just like everything about it, just like its tone, the cleverness of the level design, like the way that it challenged me. I liked the way that it challenged me, like to just continually get better. It also shows a bit of mercy where if you die like 5 or 10 times at the same checkpoint, they'll let you just skip to the next one, if that's a thing that you want to do. I never did it, but it's just like, oh, you know what? Glad that's there. You can't do that in the impossible lair, which is weird because, you know, if you're going to have accessibility options and things like that, they should maybe extend to the rest of the game, but like nothing in the impossible lair like that. But yeah, Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair is just a super fucking solid little game that, like, I knew was probably gonna be good because I like Rhett talks pretty highly of it, and when like Rhett talks good on, you know, platformers, I tend to listen. And like this definitely hit me hit me just right. Like I said, I borrowed Tropical Freeze from a friend, and I've been dinking around with it. I just don't like how it feels compared to this. So like maybe if I get a little distance away from this, and then try. What did you think of Tropical Freeze, right?
Once you started talking about Banjo-Kazooie again, I was like, yeah, I think I'd like that more than Tropical Freeze.
Yeah.
Even though I did everything in Tropical Freeze, like it's much more punishing, I think, overall. Like that is a hard game, especially like the bonus world at the end and the bosses. Like Yooka-Laylee has the impossible lair, but I think it is a much more, like you said, the difficulty curve is.
Yeah, like it spends its entire game building up to that last 28 minutes, whereas it sounds like Donkey Kong Country kind of gets there a lot faster and kind of just maintains it.
Like Yooka-Laylee's the less polished game. Like the music and visuals in Donkey Kong are like stunning.
I think the music in this game is great. Fun. I think the music in Yooka-Laylee is fan-fucking-tastic. I fucking love this soundtrack.
Cool.
I mean, you can be wrong all you want. I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that Tropical Freeze's soundtrack isn't great. I don't know yet.
This feels like a giant bomb game of the year discussion. I think Dan Reichert was always standing for Tropical Freeze's soundtrack, and the others were like, it's fine.
All right. All right. Like, I haven't really heard enough of it. I've only played one world of Tropical Freeze. Yeah, okay. So like, I know
there are some really,
Yeah,
there's some very neat levels in that game.
Yeah, I'm I think I need to get away from Banjo or not Banjo, fucking. I need to get away from Yooka-Laylee for a bit. I don't want to like be constantly comparing.
Y'all tripped up on that a couple times, and it's pretty funny.
I don't want to. I don't want this game. I don't want this game influencing how I approach that other game. I've kind of learned that I do that now, and it's kind of a behavior I want to get away from when trying to enjoy things for what they are instead of what I want them to be. Yeah,
I tried to resist starting another D&D podcast right away because I was like, let's hold off.
Maybe put it down for a bit.
I think it makes sense with these two because they are so specifically, hey, Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, it's literally like these two are. Yeah, this is literally so much like same game. Like they both even have the ridiculous roll off a platform and you still able to fucking jump like a half a year later. It feels good. It's a great mechanic. It's the wildest coyote time ever.
Yeah. They really, I think in Tropical Freeze you have to like really push it at points.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that mechanic in Yooka-Laylee, so yeah, cool. Like I think I'll be probably happy with that game. I'll probably be happy with Tropical Freeze once I get a little bit of time away from how I really just like the snappiness and how fast to react. Yooka-Laylee is, so yeah. Yooka-Laylee and Impossible Lair, absolutely, just solid. Can't go wrong.
Cool.
And is that a podcast? It sounds like a podcast to me.
I think that's a podcast.
That's a podcast.
Does seem like a podcast, but we will catch you again in another 3 weeks, hopefully. Hopefully you'll stay sane. Maybe I think we will at the very least be starting the Somnium Files Nirvana initiative by then. I don't know, we will have played enough to talk about it. That's kind of like the big thing, and that's literally in like what, 2 weeks now, something like that. Yeah, like 2 or 3 weeks.
Cool.
But yeah,
Awesome.
So that'll be great. That'll definitely be something. And I'll have probably finished Corpse Factory by then. So definitely some stuff to catch up on.
Games are good.
Yeah, games are fun. Games are good. All that fun stuff. So we'll go ahead and we'll start getting ourselves on out of here. But before we do, John Thayer, why don't you tell the internet folks at home where they can find you?
Farawaytimes.com. No, wait. Farawaytimes.itch.io.
Does farawaytimes.com not work anymore?
Oh, it still works. It just links to the itch.
Well, why wouldn't you just say farawaytimes.com? Like, that's the fastest.
It doesn't redirect to the itch. It just has a link to it at the top.
Why don't you just set up a redirect then?
I should probably do that.
That would probably
I didn't
be
think
the
about it
smarter
until
thing.
just
And
now.
then you could have you could literally have a business card that just says, hey, farawaytimes.com.
That makes sense.
Oh, it's all the old games, and then it just says newer games available on itch.io.
Oh, yeah. I remember looking at that a while back and being like, you just gave up on updating this, didn't you?
Yes. It's a pain in the ass to update it in multiple places.
But think, you could design exactly how many games are in each column.
You could.
You could make the perfect
You could
grid.
make the perfect website.
I complained on the internet about the grid, and then the admin of itch.io went and gave me some custom CSS and implemented an extra bit of CSS to let me set it up just how I wanted it.
Oh, well, there you go.
Very nice.
That's good stuff right there.
Yeah,
That's service.
that's service. I was very moved.
Service with a smile. Can't argue with that. He's smiling in his profile picture is why I said that. So,
It's true.
yeah.
Wait,
No, the dude that changed your thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I remember him smiling.
There you
go. Yeah. Rhett!
Watch more anime.
Watch more anime just in general.
Yeah.
Not even like a Symphogear, not even a review Starlight. Just go watch some anime.
Yeah.
Watch more anime. Anime's great.
I know. I guess your sign off on the other podcast is listen to more Death Grips.
Listen to more Death Grips, yeah. You can go there. You can do the same.
Watch more Symphogear.
Watch more Symphogear. All right. And you can find me at twitch.tv/polyhead. That's where I get into all my dumb stuff. We will be cruising right along on our Corpse Factory playthrough in the coming week. We're going to probably wrap that this week. I can't imagine that game being 25 hours long. I know that's longer than 4.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to get out of here. Yeah.
Can't get your Steam refund now.
No. That's why they're mad. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for listening. We love you guys a lot. But remember, we are the podcast that loves you. We're the only ones that love you. And I'm going to go over here and find somebody to raid, and we're going to get out of here. That's what we're going to do. Because it's Sunday night. I'm very hungry. I have a podcast to edit. I'm very butt mad about having to edit it. But we'll get it done. That's what I do.
Thank you, Polly. We appreciate you.
I'm going to send everybody over to Toad22484. He's playing a baseball game, it looks like, but his stream title says Shmup Time. Maybe he found a baseball shmup. I don't know. Anyway, let's go say hi to Toad.
Perfect.
And everybody have themselves a good night. We up out this bitch.